Have you ever watched the clock in class, wishing for the bell? Maybe your eyes get heavy, your thoughts drift. Those are the snooze classes. Most of us have been there. It's when a class feels like a long, dull lecture. New ideas don't spark your mind. They just wash over you like a sleep-inducing wave. So, what makes a class boring? It's often not the subject itself. Math can be exciting. History can be full of amazing stories. But when a class is just about memorizing facts, with no chance to ask questions, explore, or connect it to your life, that's when boredom sets in. For a long time, school was mostly teachers passing down facts, like filling an empty cup. People thought if you just listened, you'd learn. But our brains are built to be curious, to ask why, and to figure things out for ourselves. Think about watching a movie. If it's just a long speech with no action or characters, you get bored fast, right? You might even fall asleep. But an engaging movie keeps you hooked. It's the same with learning. When lessons feel like a one-way street, just taking in information without interaction, it's hard for your mind to stay awake. Your brain wants to explore, to solve puzzles. And that's why it matters. When classes are boring, it's not just about feeling sleepy. It makes learning feel like a chore, something you have to do instead of get to do. It dampens that natural spark of curiosity inside us. Learning should feel like opening a door, not like being stuck in a dark room. Our minds are meant to wonder. Boredom can feel like a heavy blanket over that wonder, quietly telling us learning isn't exciting. And that's a sad message. Have you ever walked out of a test feeling like the score didn't quite show what you truly understood? Maybe you knew the topic really well, but the questions just felt off. Or maybe you could explain everything to a friend, but the test made you feel lost. Here's the thing. Sometimes our education system uses tests that don't fully capture how much we've actually learned. Think about it this way. What does knowing something really mean? Is it just remembering a bunch of facts for a short time? Or is it being able to use those facts, connect different ideas, and think deeply about a subject? Often, traditional tests focus on the first part, how well you can recall information. They might ask for specific dates, definitions, or formulas. And that's useful for some things, but true understanding is much bigger. People have used tests for thousands of years in different ways. Ancient civilizations like the Chinese Empire used exams to choose who would work in government. The idea was to find the smartest people. But even back then, some wondered if these tests truly measured wisdom or just the ability to memorize. It's a question that still matters today. Imagine trying to teach someone how to ride a bicycle. You could give them a written test, name the parts of a bike, explain how to balance. They might get a perfect score. But would that mean they can actually ride the bike? Not at all. To truly know how to ride a bike, you have to get on it, push off, fall a few times, and eventually find your balance. You have to do it. The written test only shows if you remember facts, not if you've mastered the skill. So, when a test score feels unfair, or when you feel like it didn't reflect your actual knowledge, remember this. Learning isn't just about a number on a paper. It's about building connections in your mind, practicing new skills, and growing as a thinker. It's about the journey of discovery, not just the destination of a single grade. Your understanding often stretches far beyond what any one test can measure. You know that feeling? Your backpack feels heavy, not from books, but from the homework mountain. It's like a never-ending story. You finish one thing, two more appear. Why does it take so long? What's the point if you're just staring at a page wishing it was done? It's not just quantity. It's about if that time truly helps you learn. Homework should help you practice, make ideas, stick. But when it takes forever, it does the opposite. Instead of feeling smart, you feel tired, frustrated. It stops being about learning. It becomes just about getting through it. You get overwhelmed. Your brain shuts down. It's hard to focus or understand when battling pure exhaustion. The idea of homework is old. Repeating tasks for mastery. Think of a musician practicing scales. Schools adopted this for extra lesson time, to build habits. But when practice becomes endless busy work, it loses its point. It's not about getting better, it's just doing more. That's rarely helpful for your brain. Imagine loving drawing or a sport. You enjoy practicing, getting better. But what if you had to do it 8 hours straight daily, even tired, or get a bad grade? You'd probably hate it. Something you love becomes a chore when forced too long. Your brain needs breaks to process and truly learn, not just endless repetition. When homework feels endless, we wonder what learning means. Is it about hours or understanding and curiosity? Learning isn't just facts or finishing assignments. It's about joy in discovery, building skills, and having time to think, play, and be. Our minds need space to breathe. A good education should spark a love of learning, not make us feel trapped. That's a powerful thought. Have you ever felt like you had a question or a worry and you just needed someone to talk to but couldn't find the right person? It happens sometimes, and it can feel pretty isolating. In schools, that's often where counselors come in. They're like guides or coaches for your life inside and outside of school. They help with all sorts of things: understanding your feelings, dealing with tough friend situations, planning for college or a career, or just figuring out how to handle stress. They are there to listen and offer support. Here's the thing. While we often think of school as a place just for learning subjects like math or history, there's also the big idea that schools should help you grow as a whole person. A long time ago, people started to realize that students learn better when they also feel safe and supported in their lives. It's not just about what's in your textbook, but also what's in your mind and heart. That's why the role of a school counselor became important, to care for that other part of learning, the part about growing up healthy and strong. But here's the problem. There aren't enough of these amazing helpers to go around. Imagine a busy doctor's office with only one doctor trying to see hundreds of patients every day. People would have to wait a very long time for help, or might not get to see the doctor at all, even if they really needed it. It's similar in many schools. When one counselor is responsible for a huge number of students, it's hard for them to give everyone the time and attention they deserve. This means that sometimes, when students truly need to talk about something important, or need advice on their future, or just need a calm voice to listen, that help might be hard to find. And that's why it matters. Every student deserves to feel heard and supported. It's a quiet challenge, but it impacts how safe and ready we feel to learn, and how well we can navigate the journey of growing up. Have you ever picked up an old book and noticed how different things were? Like, maybe it talks about technology that doesn't exist anymore, or how people used to think about the world. It's pretty wild how fast information changes, isn't it? So, here's the thing with textbooks. Sometimes, the books schools use are really old, and that means the information inside them can be out of date. It's like trying to use a map from 20 years ago to find your way around a brand new city. The map might show some of the old roads, but it won't show the new buildings, the shortcuts, or where things have changed completely. Knowledge is always growing. Think about science, for example. Not so long ago, we learned that Pluto was a planet. But then, scientists learned more about space and decided that Pluto didn't quite fit the definition of a planet anymore. It became a dwarf planet. If your science textbook was printed before that change, it would still tell you Pluto is a planet. And that's just one small change. New discoveries happen all the time in science, history, and every other subject. New ideas come along, and old ones get updated or even replaced. So, when schools use old textbooks, students might be learning things that aren't completely true anymore, or they might be missing out on important new discoveries. It's like trying to learn about how computers work using a book from the 1980s. You'd understand some basic ideas, but you wouldn't know anything about the internet, smartphones, or apps. You'd be behind the times without even knowing it. It's a reminder that learning isn't just about memorizing facts from a book. It's about understanding that knowledge is a living thing. It grows and changes, and we need to keep our minds open to new information, always. It makes you think about how important it is to keep asking questions and to always look for the most current information out there. Have you ever had a teacher you really liked, who seemed to make learning fun, and then suddenly they weren't there anymore? It's a sad moment, right? A big problem in our schools today is that many good teachers are choosing to leave the job. This isn't because they don't care about kids or about teaching. It's often because the job itself becomes too much to handle. Here's the thing. Teaching is incredibly complex. It's not just standing in front of a class and giving out information. Teachers manage a whole room full of different personalities and learning styles. They grade papers late into the night, plan lessons, deal with behavior issues, communicate with parents, and sometimes even pay for supplies out of their own pocket. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite hobby. Maybe it's playing a video game or painting. Now imagine doing that hobby for 8 hours straight, every single weekday, with 30 people watching you, all needing different kinds of help, and then you have to grade all their work and prepare for the next day, often without much thanks or even enough pay. That kind of pressure can quickly turn something you love into something exhausting. Historically, societies have always put value on passing knowledge from one generation to the next. Wise elders and skilled craftspeople taught the young. But the idea that teaching is just about telling or showing misses a huge part of it. It's about building relationships, understanding needs, and inspiring growth. When the people doing this vital work feel burnt out, unsupported, or just plain overwhelmed, they look for other paths. It's like trying to build a strong house without enough good tools or materials, and the builders are tired and unpaid. Sooner or later, they'll stop building. When talented teachers leave, it's not just a loss for them, it's a loss for every student who won't get to learn from them. It truly impacts what kind of future we can build together. Maybe we should think more about how we support these important guides in our lives. Have you ever wondered why some schools seem to have really new buildings, tons of computers, or amazing sports fields, while others might look a little older or have fewer things? Here's the thing. It often comes down to money and how schools get it. Most public schools get a lot of their money from local property taxes. That means the money comes from the homes and businesses in the area around the school. So, if a community has a lot of expensive homes and busy businesses, it usually collects more tax money. This extra money can then go to its schools. But in communities where homes are less expensive or there aren't as many businesses, less tax money is collected. And that means less money for the schools there. It's not anyone's fault in particular, but it creates a real challenge. Imagine you're trying to build a fantastic treehouse. If you have plenty of good wood, strong nails, and the right tools, you can build something really solid and cool. But what if you only have splintered wood, rusty nails, and a broken hammer? You can still try to build a treehouse, and you might even learn a lot, but it's going to be much harder, and the final result might not be as strong or as safe. Schools are a bit like that treehouse. With less money, a school might struggle to buy new textbooks, fix leaky roofs, or hire enough teachers to keep class sizes small. They might not have money for art supplies, music instruments, or even updated science lab equipment. This isn't because the students or teachers aren't trying their best, but because they simply don't have all the ingredients they need. For a long time, people have debated how to make sure every child gets a fair chance at a good education, no matter where they live. It makes you think about how important it is that every student, everywhere, gets the chance to grow and learn with the best tools available to reach their full potential. Have you ever stopped to wonder if what we learn in school truly prepares us for everything life throws our way? It's a big question, but an important one. Here's the thing. Sometimes, our education focuses heavily on subjects like math equations, history dates, or science theories, which are all important. But what about the practical stuff? When we talk about real-world skills, we mean the everyday abilities that help us navigate life outside the classroom. Think about managing your money, making a budget, or even knowing how to fill out important forms. It's about more than just knowing facts. It's about knowing how to do. Long ago, before schools existed, most young people learned by directly doing things. They worked with a carpenter or a farmer, learning their trade, hands-on. Knowledge was often passed through practice. As societies changed, schools focused more on books and ideas. This helped us think deeply, but it also moved us a bit from these practical, day-to-day skills. Imagine this. You're planning a trip with friends, but nobody knows how to research affordable travel, or understand a rental agreement, or even just cook a simple meal for everyone. Or maybe you get your first part-time job, and tax forms or pay stubs feel like a completely different language. It's a bit like studying all the rules of a game but never actually getting to play it. And that's why it matters. Not having these skills can leave us feeling uncertain or unprepared when we step out on our own. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about building confidence and feeling ready for life's many challenges. It's a quiet reminder that learning is a lifelong journey, and some of its most valuable lessons are found not just in books, but in the everyday work of living. Have you ever noticed how quiet classrooms can be, even when everyone's working? Or how easy it is to scroll through a phone instead of chatting with a friend? Here's the thing. In our screen-filled world, we might be losing something important. is about how we learn when we don't talk face to face as much. Think about it. For thousands of years, humans learned mostly by talking. Elders told stories, teachers explained things, students discussed ideas. Philosophers like Socrates in ancient Greece believed true understanding came from asking questions and debating with others. They even had a name for it, the Socratic method, which just means learning through conversation. It wasn't about reading a screen. It was about speaking, listening, and thinking together. Today, we have amazing screens that give us tons of information instantly. But sometimes, too much screen time means less time speaking, listening, or debating. It's a bit like trying to learn basketball by only watching videos online. You see the moves, but you won't truly learn until you pick up the ball and play with others. That back and forth, that trying, failing, and figuring things out with friends, that's the real learning. When we don't talk enough, we might miss out on skills like listening carefully, expressing thoughts clearly, or understanding different points of view. These aren't just nice to have skills. They're how we build strong friendships, solve problems, and find our own voice. So we got super good at finding information, but maybe not as good at sharing ourselves or truly connecting with others. Learning is more than just facts. It's also about building connections with ideas and with people. Have you ever felt like you had to get a perfect score, or like you needed to be the absolute best at something no matter what? This feeling, this push to be flawless, is the pressure to be perfect. It's like an invisible weight. It tells you anything less than perfect isn't good enough. In school, this means stressing over every assignment, test, or project. It's not just about doing well, it's about doing perfectly. That's a really high bar, often impossible. Here's the thing. People have always valued excellence. Ancient thinkers talked about reaching your full potential. But potential is different from perfection. Perfection means no flaws. Humans make mistakes. That's how we learn. Sometimes, striving for excellence shifts into believing only perfection counts. With constant online comparisons, this pressure feels even stronger. Everyone shows their best versions, making it easy to think that's the only way to be. Think about a scientist creating a new medicine. They don't get it right on the first try. They experiment, make mistakes, and learn. Each failure helps them get closer. If they waited for perfection, they'd never discover anything. Learning at school is similar. A wrong answer on a practice test isn't a failure. It helps you know what to study more. It's part of the process. So, what does this mean? True progress isn't about being perfect from the start. It's about the journey, the effort, and the growth from trying, even when we stumble. Our value isn't tied to flawless performance. It's about our willingness to learn and to just be ourselves, mistakes and all. A rich life includes the messy bits and the moments when we bravely try again. Have you ever thought about what makes a school feel like a place where everyone can truly grow? Sometimes we focus a lot on subjects like math or science, and those are super important. But what happens when there aren't enough classes for art or music? This is a problem in many schools today. And it means students miss out on a lot more than just drawing or playing an instrument. When we talk about not enough art or music classes, it means schools either cut down on these subjects, offer very few choices, or don't give them enough time in the school day. Art and music are not just hobbies. They are fundamental ways humans learn, express themselves, and understand the world. They teach you different kinds of thinking that other subjects don't quite cover. They help with creativity, problem solving, and emotional growth. For a long time, people understood how vital these subjects were. Ancient cultures like the Greeks believed that music and art were totally essential for a good education. They thought these things helped shape a person's character and made them a more complete and balanced human being. It was about developing the whole person, not just the logical, fact-driven side. Think about it this way. Learning about the world is like trying to see a really big, colorful painting. Math and science might help you understand the size of the canvas or the chemistry of the paints. But art and music are what help you see the actual beauty, the emotions, and the stories within the painting itself. They help you connect with it on a deeper level, not just an intellectual one. When these classes are limited, it's like only being allowed to see a small corner of that big, beautiful picture. So, when schools don't offer enough art or music, it's not just about missing out on a fun class. It's about losing a vital part of what helps us understand our feelings, express big ideas, and connect with other people in powerful ways. It means we might miss out on discovering parts of ourselves we didn't even know existed, and that's a real loss for everyone. Have you ever thought about how much attention sports get at school? Not just during games, but all the time. Think about the pep rallies, the news articles, and the money spent on fields and uniforms. It can often feel like sports are the biggest deal, right? This isn't about saying sports are bad. They're great for fitness, teamwork, and learning discipline. But here's the thing. Sometimes this huge focus on sports means academic subjects like math, science, history, or even art and music don't get as much attention or resources. It's like watering one plant much more than another. Both need care to grow strong. For a long time, people have loved watching physical contests. Think about the ancient Olympic Games, where athletes were heroes. Communities often rally around their sports teams, and that shared pride is a strong feeling. There's a powerful energy in cheering for winners. But what happens when that energy and those resources are uneven? Imagine your school has a set amount of money each year. If a lot goes to new sports equipment or travel for games, there might be less left for updated textbooks, new microscopes, or art supplies. Or maybe students who excel in debate aren't celebrated like the star athlete. It's like if your favorite video game updated its graphics but forgot to fix glitches in the actual game. So it makes us wonder, are we giving every kind of talent an equal chance to grow and shine? It's not about choosing between a strong body and a strong mind. It's about making sure both are valued, because true success often comes from a balance of different strengths. We want everyone to find their path and feel important, whether they're scoring goals or solving complex equations. Ever looked at your school lunch and just sighed? We've all been there. Maybe it's the mystery meat, the soggy vegetables, or the pizza that tastes like cardboard. Here's the thing. Cafeteria food that's just not good isn't just about a bad taste. It's a real problem because what we eat directly affects how we feel, how we think, and how well we can learn. When food lacks real flavor or good nutrition, it's hard to feel energetic or focused in class. Our bodies and brains need proper fuel. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, people have known that good food is key to a strong community. Ancient Greek thinkers believed a healthy body led to a healthy mind. It wasn't just about filling your stomach. It was about giving your body what it needed to be strong and clear. If a warrior needed good food to fight, or a farmer needed it to work the fields, a student needs good food to tackle tough math problems or write a great essay. It's not a new idea that what we put into our bodies matters. Imagine trying to run your favorite video game on a really old, slow computer with not enough power. It would lag, glitch, maybe even crash. That's a bit like trying to learn and think your best when your body is fueled by food that doesn't give you good energy or nutrients. Your brain might feel foggy, your body tired. It's harder to pay attention, to remember things, or to stay upbeat. So when we talk about cafeteria food that's just not good, we're really talking about more than just a meal. We're talking about how our schools support us, or sometimes don't, in our daily journey to learn and grow. It's a quiet reminder that feeling well-fed, truly nourished, is a basic part of being ready for whatever the school day throws at us. It's about being able to reach our full potential, not just filling an empty space. Have you ever wondered why some people try to make others feel small? Or why someone might pick on another person just because they're different? It's a tough question, and it brings us to something that still happens too much in schools. Bullying. Here's the thing. Bullying isn't just a one-time mean comment. It's when someone or a group repeatedly tries to hurt or control another person. This can be with words, like spreading rumors or calling names. It can be physical, like pushing or tripping. And now, a lot of it happens online, through messages or social media posts. For a long time, even centuries ago, people have struggled with power. Sometimes, those who felt stronger or were part of a bigger group would try to dominate others. It's a bit like how a big rock can keep pushing a smaller rock down a hill, even if the smaller rock doesn't want to go. Bullying is often about someone wanting to feel powerful by making someone else feel powerless. Think about it like this. Imagine your school is a big, strong building. Every student is like a brick in that building. When someone bullies another, it's like a tiny crack forming in one of those bricks. If that crack isn't noticed or fixed, it can spread. Soon, the whole wall starts to feel wobbly, and the building doesn't feel as safe for anyone inside. it weakens the whole community. So while bullying might seem like a problem between two people, it actually affects everyone around them. It makes school a less welcoming place. But here's the good part. Understanding this means we can choose to be the ones who help fix the cracks. We can choose kindness or courage or simply choosing not to ignore it. Because a strong building, a strong school, is built on bricks that support each other, not push each other down. And that's how we make things better. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt a little off? Not because something big was wrong, but maybe just a quiet feeling of not quite belonging, or maybe a little worry in your stomach. Schools are supposed to be places where we learn and grow, but for some students, they don't always feel completely safe. Here's the thing. Safe isn't just about avoiding accidents or big dangers. It's also about how your heart and mind feel. It means feeling accepted for who you are without worrying about being teased, left out, or judged. It's about knowing you can make a mistake and still be okay, or speak your mind without getting put down. This is called emotional and social safety. Long ago, thinkers believed that places for learning should be like special havens, quiet spots where your brain could truly focus on new ideas. Think of it like a beautiful, calm library where you can just get lost in a book. You can't really read if there's loud noise or if you're constantly worried someone will snatch your book, right? Your mind needs that same kind of peace to truly learn and understand new things. Think about a time you tried to focus on homework, but your phone kept buzzing with notifications. It's hard, right? Your brain gets pulled away. Well, when students don't feel safe, maybe because of bullying, or always worrying about fitting in their brains, are buzzing with those notifications of worry. It's hard for their minds to concentrate on math problems or history lessons when they're busy trying to protect themselves emotionally. It's like trying to build a really tall tower on shaky ground. So, for every student to really shine and learn everything they can, schools need to be places where everyone feels truly seen, heard, and protected. It means we all have a part in making sure our classrooms and hallways feel like calm, accepting spaces. Everyone deserves that good feeling of being safe enough to just be themselves and learn. Have you ever looked at a school rule and thought, wait, why is that even a rule? It's a common feeling, isn't it? We all understand why we need rules. They help keep everyone safe. They make sure things run smoothly, especially in a busy place like a school. Rules are supposed to create a good environment for learning and growing. But here's the thing. Sometimes discipline rules don't quite fit. They might feel confusing or unfair because they don't seem to make sense for our current situation. Think about how rules come to be. A long time ago, societies had very few written rules. Things were simpler maybe. As groups grew and life became more complicated, rules became more detailed. They were created to solve problems people faced back then. Sometimes, though, old rules stick around even when the original problems are gone or when better ways have come along. It's like using an old map for a city that's totally changed. You get lost, right? Rules are supposed to guide us, but if they're outdated, they can actually make things harder. For example, imagine a school rule: no hats indoors. Maybe, long ago, hats were seen as disrespectful. But what if it's really cold in the classroom? Or a student wears a hat that expresses their personality harmlessly? Or perhaps a rule states if your phone rings once, it's an automatic full-day suspension, even for an emergency call from a parent. These kinds of rules, while meant to keep order, can sometimes feel out of sync with real life. They focus so much on stopping a specific action that they miss the bigger picture. When rules don't quite make sense, it can feel frustrating. It makes us wonder if rules are truly there to help us learn and develop, or if they're just about control. The best rules, you see, are like good tools. They help us build something better, a safer, fairer, more understanding community. They don't just stop us from doing things. Instead, they should help us understand ourselves and others, encouraging us to grow into thoughtful, responsible people. It's about finding that calm balance where discipline truly helps us instead of just confusing us or making us feel unseen. Have you ever stopped to think about what happens after you earn some money or get some as a gift? Like, what do you actually do with it? For most of us, money can feel a bit mysterious, and that's okay. But here's the thing. Knowing how to manage money isn't just about complicated math. It's about learning a life skill that makes your future much smoother. It means understanding how to earn it, save some for later, spend it wisely, and even make it grow a little. For a long time, people mostly traded things directly, like trading a basket of apples for a new tool. But even then, folks had to think about how much they had and what they really needed. The basic idea of saving for a rainy day, meaning saving for when times are tough or something unexpected happens, is super old. It's about being prepared, like a squirrel storing nuts for winter. If a farmer saved all their seeds instead of planting them, they wouldn't have food next year. And if they ate all their seeds, they'd be in trouble too. It's about balance. Think of it like tending a garden. If you just throw seeds on the ground and forget about them, you won't get much. But if you carefully plant them, water them, give them sunlight, and protect them, your garden grows. Money works similarly. If you don't take care of it, it disappears. But if you learn to plant it, save it, and give it what it needs, it can grow into something useful. So, when we don't learn these skills in school, it's like sending someone out to plant a garden without telling them how to use a shovel or where the water hose is. It makes life harder than it needs to be. Understanding money isn't just about getting rich. It's about having choices, feeling secure, and being able to handle whatever comes your way without extra stress. It's a quiet power, a way to build a calmer, more independent life for yourself. Have you ever stopped to think about what happens after high school, after college? You learn a lot in school: math, history, science. But what about the stuff you need to know just to live your life as an adult? Here's the thing. One big piece of that puzzle is taxes. So what are taxes? Simply put, taxes are money that people pay to the government. It's like a shared pot of money that everyone contributes to. And why do we do this? Well, governments use that money for things that benefit everyone. Think about the roads you drive on, the schools you attend, the libraries you visit, even the police and firefighters who keep us safe. All these things cost money, and taxes are how we all chip in to pay for them. It's an old idea, actually. For thousands of years, people have banded together to build common things. Whether it was ancient aqueducts or town walls, they shared the work or shared the cost. Imagine your whole class is planning a big field trip. Everyone has to put a little money into a shared fund to cover the bus, the tickets, and maybe some snacks. If just one or two people paid, the trip wouldn't happen. Taxes are kind of like that, but on a much bigger scale. For a whole city or country, everyone contributes and everyone benefits from what that money builds. But here's the problem. When you get your first job, you'll start earning money and you'll owe taxes on it. You'll get forms and there will be rules and deadlines. Nobody really sits you down in school and says, here's how you fill out a tax form. Here's what a W-2 is. This is how you make sure you don't mess up. It's a huge part of being an independent adult, but it's often left out of our education. Knowing how to pay taxes isn't just about following rules. It's about understanding how our society works and how we all contribute. It's about being ready for the practical side of growing up, so you can stand on your own 2 feet, confident and prepared. Do you ever feel like there's just one main road to a good future? Maybe it seems like everyone expects you to go to college right after high school. This idea that college is the only way to success is a common problem in our education system. It's not that college is bad, it's wonderful for many people. But here's the thing, believing it's the only path can make some students feel like failures if their dreams don't involve a 4-year degree. For a long time in history, most people didn't go to college. They learned skills through apprenticeships or by working with their hands. Think about builders, bakers, or artists. They became experts without ever stepping foot in a university. But over the last century, society started to put a lot more emphasis on college degrees. It became the default expectation, almost like the main highway everyone was supposed to take. This mindset can make us forget that there are many other valuable paths. Imagine you're trying to get to a cool new park. One way is a big paved highway. That's like college. It's a clear, well-known route that works for a lot of people. But maybe there's also a winding bike path through the woods, or a quiet river you can canoe down. These are also ways to get to the park, and they might be more fun or make more sense for someone who loves biking or paddling. They're just different kinds of journeys. It's the same with your future. Some people are meant for those college highways, learning about science or literature in big classrooms, and that's awesome. But others are meant for different paths, maybe learning a skilled trade, starting a business, or joining the military. These paths are just as important and valuable, so remember that your journey is yours alone. There are many ways to build a life you love, and the best path is the one that truly fits who you are and what you want to do. Have you ever tried to learn something one way, but it just didn't click for you? Maybe your brain wants to understand things in a different order, or through pictures instead of words. Here's the thing, everyone's brain is unique, and for some people, their brains are wired in ways that make traditional school methods a real challenge. We call this learning differently. It's not about being less smart, it's just a different way of processing information. Think about things like dyslexia, which makes reading harder, or ADHD, which can make focusing tricky, or being on the autism spectrum, where social cues might be confusing. For a long time, schools were set up like a single production line. Everyone was expected to learn the same way, at the same pace, using the same tools. It was like giving everyone a hammer, even if some people needed a screwdriver, or a wrench, or even just their hands. The idea that brains could learn in many different ways wasn't always understood, but we know more now. We know that some students might need extra time, or lessons broken into smaller pieces, or information presented visually, or a quiet space, or even just a chance to move around. Imagine you're trying to find a hidden treasure using a map. Most people can follow the lines and symbols easily, but what if your brain sees those lines and symbols like swirling abstract art? You're just as capable of finding the treasure, but you need a different kind of map. Maybe one with very clear pictures, or one that uses sound, or even a guide to walk with you. If you don't get that different map or guide, the journey becomes almost impossible, even if you're brave and determined. And that's why it matters. When schools don't offer enough support for these different ways of learning, brilliant students can get left behind. Their unique strengths, their fresh ideas, and their amazing potential can go unnoticed. It's like a world missing out on beautiful music just because not everyone can read the same sheet of notes. Every mind has its own rhythm, and when we listen to them all, the whole song of learning becomes richer, more complete, and truly beautiful. Have you ever been in a really crowded room, like a school assembly or a busy fair? It's easy to feel like just one face in a sea of many, right? Like no one really sees you. Well, imagine that feeling in your classroom. When classes get too big, it's not just about finding a seat. It means there are so many students that teachers find it harder to give everyone the attention they need. One teacher, 30, 40, or even more students. For a long time, people have talked about how important personal learning is. The ancient Greek teacher Socrates, for instance, taught by asking questions to just a few students. He believed learning was about guiding each person's unique mind. But as schools grew, especially in the last century, teaching many students at once became the norm. It's like learning a new skill, say, playing the guitar, in a huge group. If there are only 5 of you, the teacher can watch your fingers, correct your posture, and answer specific questions. But with 50 people, they can only give general advice. They might not even notice if you're holding the guitar upside down. You just get less direct help, less feedback just for you. And that's the thing with big classes. It's harder to ask questions when you're shy. It's harder for the teacher to spot if you're struggling or really shining. Your individual learning journey, your curious mind, can get a little lost in the crowd. Every student deserves to be seen, to have their unique questions answered, and to feel truly supported, not just another number. What if a lesson felt less like a real conversation and more like a voice just reading aloud from a book? This happens when teachers mostly just read straight from the textbook during class. They go page by page, maybe pause, then keep reading. It's not about them adding their own thoughts or bringing the subject to life with personal stories. It's more like they're a human narrator for the book itself. The information is there, sure, but it often feels flat. It lacks the energy or deep understanding that helps new ideas truly stick. For hundreds of years, learning often meant copying down words or listening to someone recite facts. Back then, books were rare and expensive. So, a teacher's main job might have been to just share what was written. But the world has changed a lot. We have books and information everywhere now. Our brains learn best when we're actively thinking and connecting ideas, not just passively listening. Here's the thing. Real teaching isn't just about passing along information. It's about sparking your curiosity. It's about helping you build bridges between different ideas. Think about trying to learn how to ride a bike. You could read every single word in a how to ride a bike manual. You'd know all the parts, the science behind balancing, maybe even the history of bicycles. But would you actually know how to ride one? Probably not. You need someone there, not just reading the manual, but showing you. They cheer you on, maybe hold the seat and then let go, letting you wobble a bit. That's the big difference between just knowing the instructions and truly learning how to do something. When a teacher just reads, it can make a subject feel distant. It's like it belongs only on the page instead of feeling alive and important to you. It makes us wonder if there's more to learning than just memorizing words. Maybe the real magic in education happens when ideas truly leap off the page. This is when they are guided by someone who deeply understands them and truly wants to share that understanding. It's about making sense of the world for yourself, not just repeating what someone else said about it. Have you ever spent a long time on an assignment working really hard, but then wondered, what was the point of all that? Or maybe you finished a worksheet that felt like it was just filling time, not really helping you learn? Here's the thing. Sometimes in school, we get assigned what people call busy work. This means tasks that might keep us occupied, but they don't always connect to deep learning or help us understand new ideas. It's like doing laps around a track when you're training for a race, but the coach doesn't explain why you're doing them or how they improve your speed. You're just running. For hundreds of years, people have believed that true learning comes from thinking deeply, asking questions, and connecting ideas. It's about growing your mind, not just filling it up with facts or completing tasks for the sake of it. When schoolwork feels like busy work, it can make us feel like our effort isn't truly valued for what we learn, but just for showing up and doing something. Think about practicing for a play or a sports game. If you're practicing your lines, you're learning to become your character, understanding the story. If you're practicing your shots in basketball, you're building muscle memory and strategy. That's meaningful practice. But what if your drama teacher just told you to copy out the entire script by hand 10 times? Or your coach made you run sprints for an hour without any goal beyond just running? You'd be doing work, sure, but would it make you a better actor or player? Probably not much. It would feel like a waste of time, even though you were putting in effort. And that's why it matters. When grades are given for work that doesn't feel meaningful, it can slowly make us care less about real learning. We start to focus on just getting the points instead of understanding the lesson. It's a quiet shift. Learning should be about discovery, about building real skills and knowledge that stay with you, not just about checking off boxes. Have you ever learned about something cool from a book, like how a huge bridge is built or how a famous painting makes you feel? Did you forget details later? Here's the thing. Reading is important, but a different kind of learning happens when you actually see, touch, and experience things for real. That's where field trips come in. They aren't just a day off. They're like stepping into a living textbook. You can read about ancient Roman ruins, but standing inside the Colosseum, feeling its massive size, hearing echoes of history, that's a whole new level of understanding. Or you can study how plants grow. Seeing them in a garden, smelling the earth, watching bees at work, it makes science truly real. Think about learning to ride a bike. A book teaches you parts, like handlebars. You can memorize what to do. But you won't really learn until you get on, maybe fall a few times, and feel the balance. That direct experience, the doing, makes knowledge stick. For a long time, people learned by doing and seeing. Young helpers watched master builders. Farmers learned from working the land. Even ancient Greek thinkers explored the world as they talked about ideas. They knew real understanding often came from direct connection, not just from words. When we don't go on enough field trips, we miss these real connections. We miss chances for our brains to fully grasp something because we haven't seen it in action. It's like only reading a menu but never tasting the food. The world holds countless lessons, waiting for us to explore. Letting curiosity lead us out, even for a day, can truly open our minds. It makes learning feel more real, exciting, and meaningful. It connects us to the big, wide world we're a part of. Have you ever sat in history class, listening to stories from long ago, and wondered, why does this even matter now? Sometimes, it feels like history is just a collection of old facts, names, and dates tucked away in a dusty book. But here's the thing. True understanding of history isn't just knowing what happened, but why it happened. and how those old events still shape our world today. Think of it like this. Your school might teach you about the American Revolution, the battles, the heroes, and the year it ended. And that's important. But do we always learn how those ideas about freedom and government still echo in our arguments today? Or how the systems created back then still affect who has power and who doesn't? When history lessons don't connect those dots, it's like learning all the ingredients of a cake without ever tasting it or understanding how they mix together to make something delicious. You know the parts, but not the whole picture, or why it matters to you. People have thought about this for centuries. Wise thinkers have always said that the past holds keys to understanding the present. It's like a detective story spanning generations. For example, if you just learned that a famous scientist discovered gravity, that's cool. But if you also learn how that discovery changed the way people thought about the universe, and how it paved the way for everything from space travel to understanding why an apple falls, then it becomes truly powerful. So, when we study history without linking it to today, we miss out on its greatest gift, lessons. We miss chances to understand why our world is the way it is, why people act certain ways, and how we might make better choices for the future. History isn't just about what was. It's a living story that helps us understand what is and imagine what could be. It's a quiet whisper from the past, guiding us through the present. Have you ever just sat there, looking out the window, and wondered, what am I supposed to do after all this? After graduation, after those final school bells ring? For many students, this big question can feel like a heavy backpack they have to carry. It's that feeling of looking into the future and seeing a big, blurry question mark instead of a clear path. This problem, not knowing what to do after high school, isn't just about picking a college or a job. It's about the deep uncertainty and pressure that comes from needing to make huge decisions about your life's direction, often feeling like you don't have enough information or guidance to choose wisely. Think about it like this. For a long, long time, centuries ago even, life paths were often simpler. If your family were farmers, you'd probably learn to farm too. If your parents ran a local shop, that might be your future. There were far fewer choices, and society pretty much laid out your path. But today, it's vastly different. The world offers countless possibilities. College degrees, trade skills, starting your own business, even taking time to travel or explore. And while having many choices sounds good, it can actually be really overwhelming. It's like standing in front of an ice cream shop with 50 different delicious flavors. You really want ice cream, but picking just one feels almost impossible because they all look good, or you're so worried about picking the wrong one. You might even feel stuck, not knowing where to even begin. But here's the thing to remember. This feeling isn't a sign that you're somehow broken, confused, or less prepared than others. It's a completely normal part of growing up in a complex, modern world. Life isn't always about having all the answers perfectly lined up from the start. Sometimes, it's about exploring the different flavors, trying a sample here and there, and trusting that the path will become clearer as you actually walk it. It's a journey of discovery, not a single destination you have to know all about from day one. And understanding that can make the whole idea feel a lot less scary, a little more like an adventure waiting to unfold. Think about your school building for a moment. Does it always feel like a place where everything just works? Or have you sometimes noticed things that aren't quite right? Even big things. Here's the thing. Sometimes school buildings need a lot more than just a fresh coat of paint. We're talking about major problems that affect everyone inside. Imagine a roof that leaks every time it rains, so buckets line the hallways. Or a heating system that breaks down in the winter, leaving classrooms really cold. Maybe the plumbing doesn't work right, or the lights flicker constantly, or parts of the building just look old and worn out. These aren't small fixes. These are major repairs because they make it harder and less safe for students to learn and for teachers to teach. It's a simple truth, really. Everything needs a good foundation to grow. Think about a plant. It needs good soil, enough water, and sunlight to truly bloom. Humans are similar. We need safe, comfortable places to learn and grow, to feel calm enough to think big thoughts. From the earliest times, people understood that where you gather to learn affects how well you do it. A safe, dry, warm space isn't a luxury. It's a basic need for minds to thrive. Imagine trying to bake your favorite cookies, but the oven is broken, or the kitchen sink leaks all over the floor. It would be super frustrating and hard to get the cookies just right. Well, Learning in a school building with major problems is a lot like that. It's hard to focus on a math problem when you're freezing, or writing an essay when the plaster is crumbling near your desk. Your mind is busy with the discomfort, not the lesson. A school building is more than just bricks and windows. It's a space where dreams are formed and futures begin. When a building is falling apart, it can send a quiet message that maybe the people inside aren't valued as much as they should be. But when we fix these issues, when we make schools safe and welcoming, it shows we believe in every single student. It tells them, you matter, your education matters. Have you ever tried to do something important, like finish a big project or watch a video for class, and the computer just wouldn't cooperate? Maybe it froze up or took forever to load one page. This is a common problem in many schools, and it affects how you learn. Outdated computers that barely work means the technology schools have for students is too old, too slow, or just broken down. These aren't just slow internet days. These are machines from years ago, struggling to keep up with today's software and the fast pace of learning. Here's the thing. Our world is run by technology. From how we communicate to how we discover new things, computers are central. So, when students are stuck using really old machines, it's like trying to learn how to drive a modern car by practicing on a car from the 1950s. You might learn some basics, sure, but you won't be ready for the roads of today. You can't learn about coding, graphic design, or advanced research tools if the computer crashes every 5 minutes, or can't even run the right program. Think about it this way. Imagine you're trying to build a complex Lego castle, but all you have are broken pieces from a much older, simpler set. You can try, but it'll be frustrating, and the end result won't be what you hoped for. It limits what you can create. Similarly, when schools rely on these old computers, it limits what students can explore and achieve. It's not just about having a cool laptop, it's about having the right tools to build your future skills. It makes you think about opportunity, doesn't it? Every student deserves a fair chance to learn with the best possible tools so they can be ready for whatever comes next. It's about building a bridge to the future, not getting stuck in the past. It's a quiet hope that every classroom can be a place where ideas can truly take flight, unhindered by slow machines. Have you ever been in the middle of something important online? Maybe trying to research for a project, upload a document, or watch an educational video, and suddenly everything just stops? The little loading wheel spins and spins, or maybe the connection just drops completely. It's frustrating, right? Here's the thing. In many schools today, this isn't just a rare annoyance. It's an everyday problem, a silent barrier to learning. Think about it. Our education system has changed a lot. Not long ago, most learning came from textbooks and whiteboards. Now, so much of what we do in school depends on the internet. We use online quizzes, digital textbooks, research databases, and communication tools. When the Wi-Fi is super slow or constantly crashes, it's like trying to fill a bucket with a leaky hose. You're putting in effort, but not much is actually getting through. Imagine you're building a Lego castle. You have all the instructions and the cool design in your head, but every time you reach for a brick, your hand gets stuck for 5 seconds. Then it gets stuck again. You'd never finish the castle, or it would take forever and be incredibly annoying. That's what slow or crashing Wi-Fi feels like when you're trying to learn. It breaks your focus, eats up valuable class time, and makes simple tasks feel impossible. This problem isn't just about speed, it's about fairness too. Every student deserves a fair chance to access the tools they need to learn and succeed. When the very system designed to help you connect and grow is unreliable, it quietly tells you that your effort might be wasted or that you're somehow less important. It can make school feel less supportive and more like a constant battle against technology that just won't cooperate. It leaves you wondering if you're truly prepared for a world that relies so heavily on quick, reliable connections. Have you ever thought about how many amazing stories, traditions, and ways of seeing the world are out there? It's kind of a shame when our school doesn't help us explore enough of them. Here's the thing. Not learning about different cultures enough means we mostly focus on one way of life, often our own, and don't spend much time on others. It's like only ever reading books from one author, or only listening to one kind of music. You miss out on so much richness and variety that way. We live in a huge, diverse world, and every corner of it has something unique to offer. Think about it this way. For a long time, people mostly stayed in their own towns or countries. They didn't travel much, so they didn't really need to know a lot about people far away. But today, we're all connected. News travels fast, and people from all over the world live in our communities. Not knowing about other cultures is like trying to put together a puzzle when you only have half the pieces. You can kind of guess what the picture is, but you'll never see the whole thing clearly. When you learn about different cultures, like how people celebrate holidays in Japan, or the history of art in ancient Egypt, or the stories told by Native American tribes, you start to understand the world, and even yourself, a lot better. It's like adding new colors to your mental paint box. And here's why that matters. When you understand how other people think, what they value, and where they come from, you become more open-minded. You learn empathy, which is like putting yourself in someone else's shoes. This can help you get along better with everyone, whether they're from across the street or across the ocean. It makes you a more thoughtful person, someone who sees the beauty in differences instead of being afraid of them. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about growing your heart and your mind. And that's pretty important for making the world a kinder, more interesting place for everyone. Have you ever sat in class and thought, didn't we just learn this last year or the year before? It's a pretty common feeling for students. Sometimes it really does feel like we're going over the same material again and again. You might wonder why that happens, why schools keep bringing up topics you feel like you've already covered. Here's the thing. Part of it is actually on purpose. For a long time, people thought the best way to learn was to repeat things until you knew them by heart. It's like building a wall. You keep laying bricks, one on top of the other, to make sure the foundation is strong. The idea is that each time you revisit a topic, you understand it a little deeper, or you see it in a new way. They want to make sure the basic stuff is totally solid in your mind before you move on to more complicated ideas. Think about learning to play a musical instrument. You start with basic notes and scales. You play them over and over, right? Or in sports, you practice the same drills again and again. That repetition helps you get better, faster, and more accurate. But imagine if all you ever did was practice those scales or those basic drills. You'd probably get really bored really fast. You'd want to learn new songs or try out new plays in a game. You'd want to use those basic skills to do something cool and new. And that's why this same old lesson problem can be a real challenge in school. While some repetition can help us get stronger, too much of it without new challenges or fresh ways to look at things can make learning feel dull. It can make us lose our curiosity. The purpose of education should be to help us grow, not just memorize facts. It should build on what we know, reaching for new ideas, not just staying put. Ever had a really great idea in class? A question burning in your mind, but the lesson just kept moving, and you never got a chance to share it? Or maybe you felt like you had something important to add to a discussion, but the bell rang before you could even open your mouth. Here's the thing. One big problem in our education system is that students often don't get enough chances to speak up. This isn't just about being shy, though that can be part of it. It's about the way many classrooms are set up. Sometimes, teachers have so much material to cover that there's little time for student voices. It often feels like a one-way street, with information flowing mostly from the teacher to the students. This way of teaching has a long history. Think back to very old schools, like those in ancient Greece. A famous thinker named Socrates believed that true understanding came from asking questions and discussing ideas, not just listening to lectures. He would talk with people, challenging their thoughts until they understood something deeply. But in many classrooms today, that ancient idea of learning through dialogue, through back and forth conversation, often gets lost. Learning isn't just about taking in facts. It's also about figuring things out, and you do that by talking, questioning, and sharing your own thoughts. Imagine you're trying to learn to play a musical instrument, like the guitar. You can listen to your teacher explain chords all day long, or watch videos of famous guitarists. But you won't truly learn to play until you pick up that guitar yourself and start making sounds, even if they're wrong at first. You need to strum, to try different notes, to hear what happens. That's like speaking up in class. It's the doing part of learning. When you speak your thoughts out loud, you make connections, you test your understanding, and you figure out what you truly believe. It helps you own the information instead of just borrowing it. So when there aren't enough chances to speak, it's not just quiet moments we miss. It's the chance to really explore ideas, to build confidence in our own thoughts, and to discover new things by hearing from each other. It's about finding and using our voice, which is a powerful tool not just for school but for life. It makes us active learners, not just passive listeners. Our ideas deserve to be heard, and that's how true learning often begins. Have you ever had a really good idea, a thoughtful suggestion, or a different way of looking at something, but felt like no one was truly listening? It's a quiet, heavy feeling, isn't it? This is what we mean by feeling like your opinion doesn't matter. It's when your thoughts, even if you share them, don't seem to make a difference in the big picture. Maybe you've raised your hand in class with an answer, only for the teacher to move on without really acknowledging it. Or perhaps you've offered a suggestion for a group project, but the loudest person just took over. For a long time, people have known that for any group to work well, whether it's a family, a community, or a whole country, every person's voice holds a piece of the puzzle. Think about a giant orchestra. Every single instrument, from the smallest flute to the biggest drum, plays a part. If the person playing the flute feels like their notes don't matter, or if the conductor never listens to the violin section's ideas for how to play a certain passage, the music won't sound as good. The whole song loses something vital. It's the same in our classrooms and schools. When students feel their thoughts are just extra noise, we lose out on so many valuable perspectives. You might have a brilliant idea for how to make a lesson more fun, or a different way to solve a math problem that could help others. But if that thought stays trapped inside, or if it's voiced and then simply ignored, it hurts more than just your feelings. We lose potential solutions, fresh ideas, and a sense of shared ownership. It's a quiet way to lose light and color from our educational experience, not just for you, but for everyone. Have you ever walked into a classroom and a teacher looked at you but didn't quite seem to see you? Maybe they called you student instead of your actual name. It can feel like a small thing, but it's often a really big one. Here's the thing. A name is more than just sounds. It's deeply tied to who you are. Your name connects you to your family, your history, your unique story. When someone uses your name, it's like they're saying, I know you, you matter. It's how we recognize each other as individuals, not just one face in a crowd. Historically, names always held power. In ancient times, knowing someone's true name sometimes meant a special connection. Today, when you introduce yourself, you share a piece of who you are. When someone remembers your name, it just feels good. Think about being on a sports team. Imagine your coach only called out jersey numbers, never your name. You'd still play, sure. But would you feel as connected? Would you feel like the coach really knew your strengths, your efforts? Probably not. When a coach shouts, "Great play, Sarah," or "Nice hustle, Ben," it makes you feel truly seen, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you belong, like your effort is noticed. It's the same in a classroom. When a teacher knows your name, it builds a little bridge. It helps you feel comfortable asking questions, sharing ideas, or just feeling like you belong in that space. It's not about special attention. It's about feeling present, like your presence makes a difference and your voice has a place. And that's why it matters so much. Have you ever sat in class, maybe during a lesson or while doing a worksheet, and thought, will I ever actually use this? It's a quiet question many of us have, and it gets at a real point about how we spend our time in school. Here's the thing. Sometimes our education system asks us to spend a lot of effort on stuff that just doesn't seem to matter for our future, or even for understanding the world around us. This idea of wasting time isn't about being lazy or not wanting to learn. It's about how valuable time is, and how we should use it wisely. Think of it like this. Every hour we spend on something in school is an hour we can't spend on something else. That something else could be learning a practical skill, exploring a passion, or even just having time to think and be creative. Long ago, thinkers like the Roman philosopher Seneca talked about how important it was to focus our energy on what truly helps us live a good, meaningful life, not just on collecting facts or doing tasks without a real purpose. He worried about people spending their lives on things that didn't matter. Imagine you're trying to become a great basketball player. You spend hours practicing shooting hoops, dribbling, and working on teamwork. But what if your coach made you spend half your practice time perfectly arranging cones on the court or memorizing the history of shoelaces? While those things aren't bad in themselves, they don't help you get better at basketball. They take away time you could use to practice what really counts for the game. This doesn't mean all learning has to be useful in a job sense. Learning for joy is great, but when something feels like busy work or is so far removed from anything you might do or care about, That's when you start to wonder if your valuable school time could be better spent. It's about the balance and making sure our efforts truly build us up. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if school could always feel like it was building towards something important for you, where every moment felt like a step forward, not just a way to fill the clock? Our time is precious, and how we learn to use it now shapes how we'll use it later. Have you ever studied really hard for a test, crammed a bunch of information into your brain, and then, a week later, poof, it's all gone? Here's the thing. Sometimes, our education system seems to put too much weight on memorizing facts. This means we're asked to just remember dates, formulas, or names for a short time, often just long enough to pass a test. But just remembering isn't the same as truly understanding something. For a long time, people believed that a person was smart if they could recall a ton of facts. And knowing facts is definitely useful. But wise thinkers throughout history have always pointed out that real learning is more about connecting ideas and figuring things out, not just collecting information in your head. It's about asking why and seeing the bigger picture. Think about learning to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. You could read every book about music theory, memorize all the chords, and even know the history of every song. But you can't truly play the guitar until you pick it up, strum the strings, feel the music, and make mistakes. Knowing facts about a guitar is one thing. Being able to actually play a song, to create something beautiful and express yourself, that's completely different. That's understanding through doing. So, if we spend all our time just trying to recall information for a test, we might miss the chance to really get what we're learning. We might miss the connections between different subjects or how to use what we learn to solve new, real-world problems. Real learning isn't just about what you can remember for a moment. It's about what you can figure out, what you can create, and how you can think for yourself. It's about building strong ideas in your mind, not just storing them away to forget later. Have you ever wondered why some ideas just seem to stick, even if they don't quite make sense? Or why it's sometimes hard to figure out what's true and what's not, especially with so much information flying around? Here's the thing. Sometimes, our schools don't give us enough chances to really think for ourselves, to question and dig deeper into what we're told. So, what exactly is critical thinking? It's like being a detective for information and ideas. It means you don't just accept facts or stories as they are presented. Instead, you stop, you look closer, and you ask important questions. You wonder, is this really true? How do we know it's true? What proof is there? What's another way to look at this situation? It's about actively figuring things out for yourself, not just memorizing what someone else said. Think about it this way. Long ago in ancient Greece, there was a famous thinker named Socrates. He didn't write many books, but he spent his time talking to people in the marketplace, asking them lots of deep questions. He wanted them to think hard about their beliefs, to really examine why they thought what they thought. He showed that asking good, thoughtful questions is how we get closer to understanding real truths. Here's a simple example you might see every day. Imagine you see a shocking headline or a wild story shared on social media, like, all teenagers spend 5 hours a day on their phones. A critical thinker wouldn't just believe it and share it. They'd pause. They might think, is that really true for all teenagers? How was this measured? They might even wonder about where the information came from, or remember their own friends who don't spend that much time on their phones. They don't just take the headline as complete truth. They check it, they question it. This powerful skill isn't just for schoolwork or checking online posts. It helps you decide who to trust, what important choices to make in your life, and how to understand complicated problems in the world around you. When you learn to think critically, you build a kind of quiet strength within your mind. Your mind becomes truly your own, and that's a deeply amazing thing. It means your thoughts are truly yours, shaped by your own curious questions and careful discoveries. Have you ever felt like something at school just wasn't fair? Maybe a grade seemed wrong, or a rule didn't make sense for everyone, or how a teacher treated different students seemed uneven. It's a feeling many of us have had. When we talk about fairness in school, we're really talking about what it means to be treated justly. It's about making sure everyone has a real chance to learn and do well. This isn't always about treating everyone exactly the same, because people have different needs. Sometimes, being truly fair means giving different kinds of support to different students so they can all reach their potential. For example, some students might need extra time on a test, or a quiet space to work. while others might not. That's not being unfair. That's actually trying to make things more fair. People have thought about this idea of justice for thousands of years. Back in ancient Greece, thinkers wondered how to create a society where everyone felt things were balanced and right. They understood that a feeling of unfairness can really bother people. It's a basic human need to feel like we're being treated with respect and given proper consideration. It's not just about rules. It's about a deep sense of right and wrong. Imagine you and a friend both want to pick apples from a tall tree. Your friend is tall and can reach the branches easily. You're shorter and can't quite get them. If the goal is for both of you to get apples, it wouldn't be fair to just say, everyone gets the same ladder, especially if you need a taller one. A truly fair approach would be to give you a taller ladder or a basket on a stick, so you both have a fair shot at reaching the fruit. It's about equal access to the goal, not just equal tools from the start. So when school doesn't feel fair, it often means the system might not be set up to help everyone succeed. It makes us stop and think, are the rules working for every student? Are resources being shared in a way that helps everyone grow? Recognizing unfairness isn't about complaining. It's about seeing where we can make things better. It's about hoping for a world where every student feels seen, supported, and truly has the chance to shine brightly. Have you ever wondered why some schools seem to have everything? Shiny new labs, big sports fields, and lots of different art classes, while others might struggle with old textbooks or not enough teachers? It's a pretty important question to ask. Here's the thing. Not every student has the same chance to attend a truly excellent school. This is what we call unequal access. It means that for some kids, getting a top-notch education is harder, not because of how smart they are, but simply because of where they live. So why does this happen? Well, a lot of public schools get most of their funding from local property taxes. Imagine a neighborhood with expensive houses and businesses. They pay more taxes, which means more money for their local schools. On the other hand, areas with lower property values collect less tax money, leaving their schools with fewer resources. This idea of unequal opportunity isn't new. If we look back through history, where a person lived often decided the quality of their education. It wasn't always about what you knew, but about the resources your community could provide. Think of it like tending two different gardens. One garden has really rich, dark soil, gets plenty of sunshine, and always has enough water. The plants there naturally grow strong and healthy, producing lots of fruit. The other garden, however, might have rocky soil, less sunlight, and water only sometimes. The plants in this garden will struggle. They might still grow, but it's much harder for them to thrive. In this picture, the students are the plants, and the gardens are the schools. The good soil, sun, and water are the resources. Dedicated teachers, modern learning tools, diverse programs, and safe buildings. When schools have these rich resources, students have a better chance to flourish. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? If your starting point is different just because of your address, how does that shape your journey? It's not about judging anyone. It's about seeing that some paths are just tougher to walk, not because of anything a student did, but simply because of the hand they were dealt. Every young mind deserves the chance to blossom and reach its full potential, no matter their address. Understanding this helps us see a deeper truth about fairness in our world. Have you ever thought about what happens right after the last school bell rings? For many, it's a rush home, maybe to chores, or just to hang out. But for some, another kind of learning waits. These are after-school programs. Simply put, they're organized activities once regular classes are done. Think sports teams, art clubs, drama, tutoring, or just a supervised place to do homework and be with friends. A long time ago, kids usually went straight home. Often, a parent or older sibling was already there. But as life changed and more parents started working, a need grew for safe places. It wasn't just about keeping kids busy. The idea was that these extra hours could be special. They could be a time for exploring new interests, getting extra help, or building skills that don't fit into the school day. It's about more than just academics. It's about growing as a whole person. Imagine your mind is like a garden. During the school day, teachers plant important seeds, like math, reading, and history. But a garden needs more than just those first seeds, right? It needs sunlight, water, and sometimes extra care. After-school programs are like that extra sunlight or special fertilizer. They let you grow different parts of your mind and personality. Maybe you find you love coding, or discover a talent for painting, or learn to be a great teammate. Without these extra things, some potential talents might not get a chance to bloom. So, when a school or community doesn't offer many after-school programs, it's a real loss. Some kids might miss out on discovering a hidden talent, or getting the extra homework help they need, or even just finding a safe and fun place until their parents get home. It's like building a house with only main walls, but skipping the windows and doors. The house stands, but it's not truly complete or comfortable. Every student deserves a chance to explore, to connect, and to thrive beyond just the classroom, finding all the different ways they can grow. Have you ever thought about all the different things people are good at, or all the unique hobbies they love? Maybe you enjoy writing fan fiction, or you're really into building detailed miniature models, or perhaps you're fascinated by ancient mythology. For many students, school clubs are a big part of finding your place and exploring what makes you, well, you. But here's the thing. Sometimes, schools just don't have enough clubs to cover all those amazing and varied interests. This problem means that while some students easily find a group for football or debate, others might feel a bit lost. They might have a passion that doesn't quite fit into the usual offerings. Think about it like this. Imagine a big art supply store, but they only sell paints and brushes. What if you're really excited about sculpting clay, or making intricate origami, or even digital drawing? You might leave feeling like your kind of art isn't important, or that there's no space for it. It's not that the school doesn't want students to have these interests, but setting up a club takes time, resources, and often a teacher willing to lead it. Historically, humans have always formed groups around shared activities, whether it was hunting, storytelling, or creating art. It's part of how we learn, grow, and feel connected. When a school can't offer a space for every kind of passion, it can feel like a missed chance for some students to truly shine and find others who understand their specific excitement. It's a quiet problem, maybe not as loud as others we discuss, but it matters deeply. When a student can't find their niche, they miss out on opportunities to build confidence, learn new skills, and feel like they truly belong. It reminds us that education isn't just about textbooks, it's also about helping every single person discover their unique spark and letting it grow. Have you ever looked at the clock during the school day and just wished it would speed up? Or maybe felt that midday slump where your brain just seemed to shut off? Here's the thing. When we talk about school schedules that are too long, we mean the actual hours we spend in classrooms, from the morning bell to the final dismissal, and all the different subjects packed in. Is not just the time sitting at desks, but the feeling of one topic after another, often with not much breathing room in between. For a long time, schools were set up partly to get people ready for certain kinds of jobs, like working in factories or offices, where long, consistent hours were common. The idea was that more time in a structured setting meant more learning. But the world is different now, and how our brains work best might be different too. Our minds aren't like endless machines that can just keep going without a pause. Think about your phone battery. If you use it constantly, without ever plugging it in or letting it rest, it quickly drains and slows down, right? Our brains are a bit like that. They can handle a lot. But if you keep pouring new information in, hour after hour, without time to process, rest, or simply wander, they get tired. It's hard to truly learn or remember things when you're exhausted. You might be physically present, but your mind could be miles away. So this makes you wonder, is simply spending more time in school always the best path to real understanding? Maybe learning isn't just about the number of hours we put in, but also about the quality of those hours. Sometimes, giving our minds space to breathe, to reflect, or even just to be bored for a moment, allows ideas to settle and connections to form. It's a quiet thought, but perhaps true learning blooms best when it's not constantly rushed. Ever feel like your alarm clock is your worst enemy? Like it's just too early to be awake, let alone thinking about math problems? Here's the thing. Many schools start super early, sometimes even before 7:30 a.m. And for a lot of students, especially teenagers, this can be a real problem. It's not just about wanting to sleep in. Our bodies actually have natural sleep clocks, called circadian rhythms. For teenagers, this clock naturally shifts later. So, an 8th grader's body often isn't ready to fall asleep until 11 p.m. or even later. Then, if school starts at 7:30 a.m., that means waking up around 6:30 a.m. That's only 7.5 hours of sleep, much less than the 8 to 10 hours doctors say teens need. Think about it like this. Your brain is a bit like a phone. If you don't charge your phone enough, it runs slow, apps crash, and it just doesn't work right. Your brain needs that full charge, that deep sleep, to function at its best. Historically, school schedules were often set up in a different time, maybe when families had different work patterns, or before we understood so much about sleep science. It was just assumed that early mornings were good for discipline or getting work done. But now we know better. Our understanding of how bodies work has grown a lot. When you're constantly tired, it's harder to focus in class. You might miss important information or struggle to remember things you just learned. It can also make you feel more stressed or irritable. This isn't just about wanting to sleep. It's about our bodies working their best. Imagine the difference a well-rested mind could make. How much easier it would be to understand new ideas, to feel good about your day, and to truly enjoy learning. It really makes you wonder if our school schedules should be more in tune with how our bodies actually work, helping us to be our most ready selves each morning. Have you ever felt like you were just one face in a really big crowd? Maybe your question got lost, or your idea wasn't quite heard. In school, sometimes teachers feel this way too, and so do students. Here's the thing. When a teacher has a huge class, it's hard for them to give every single person the attention they deserve. It's not that they don't care. It's simply that there are too many students and not enough time. Think about how our schools grew. A long time ago, learning was often one-on-one or in very small groups. But society changed, especially when more workers were needed in factories. More and more kids started going to bigger schools. The goal was to teach many students at once, which made sense then. But this also changed something important about how we learn. Imagine you're on a sports team. Your coach usually has a small group, maybe 10 or 12 players. They can watch everyone, give individual tips, and notice if someone is struggling. But what if that coach had 50 players? It would be almost impossible to help each person. They'd try their best, but they couldn't give everyone that personal attention. It's the same in a classroom. A teacher tries to explain something new, but it's tough to see every confused face or help each student when dozens of others are waiting. So, when classes are really big, learning can feel less personal. It might seem more about just getting through the textbook instead of a true conversation with your teacher. And here's why that matters. Feeling seen, feeling understood, and getting that direct help is a big part of learning. It helps you grow, not just by remembering facts, but by understanding yourself and your own unique way of thinking. Have you ever felt like there just isn't enough time in the school day for the things you really love? Maybe it's drawing, playing an instrument, or just building something cool. This feeling points to a real issue. Not enough time for creative projects in school. This problem means that our daily schedules often squeeze out opportunities for students to truly invent, explore, and express themselves. We're talking about art classes, music, drama, or even just free-form writing where there's no strict right or wrong answer. Often, schools focus so much on subjects like math, reading, and science. And don't get me wrong, these subjects are super important, but sometimes there's little room left for anything else. So, things like painting, composing music, or designing a new app idea might get pushed aside, or only happen in short bursts. For a long time, people have understood that creativity isn't just a nice extra skill. It's how humans solve problems, come up with new ideas, and understand the world in deeper ways. Think about inventors or artists. They didn't just memorize facts. They imagined new possibilities. Even ancient thinkers knew that music and art were essential for a full education. But over time, especially with a focus on standardized tests, our school system has sometimes lost sight of this bigger picture. Here's the thing. Imagine your brain like a garden. You need to water the logical plants, like math, so they grow strong. But if you only water those and never plant the creative flowers, like art or music, your garden won't be as colorful or interesting. Those creative plants help everything else thrive, too. They bring joy and new ways of seeing things. And creativity isn't just about drawing. It's also about thinking differently to solve a tricky math problem, or finding a unique way to write an essay. So, when schools don't have enough time for creative projects, it's not just about missing out on fun. It's about missing a chance to develop different parts of your mind. It's about learning to take risks, to imagine what isn't there yet, and to truly make something your own. It reminds us that education isn't just about filling your head with facts. It's also about helping you become a person who can dream, create, and build a better future. Have you ever gotten a grade back and thought, wait, is that really what I earned? It's a pretty common feeling. Grades are meant to show how much we've learned or how well we understand something. They're like a report card for your brain, right? But sometimes, that single letter or number just doesn't seem to capture all your effort or what you truly know. Here's the thing. Grades are just one way to measure. People have been trying to measure learning for a long time, often in schools. It's a way for teachers to see what's sticking and for students to see where they stand. But a grade is a kind of shortcut. It's like trying to describe a whole long book with just one emoji. Sometimes it works, but a lot of the story gets missed. The idea is to be objective, to be fair to everyone. But life and learning aren't always perfectly objective. Think about a time you worked really hard on a group project. You did tons of research, helped organize everything, and maybe even helped your teammates. But then the final presentation didn't go so well because someone else messed up their part. And then everyone in the group gets the same grade. That can feel incredibly unfair, can't it? Or maybe you felt like you understood a science concept really well, but the test questions were phrased in a super tricky way that confused you, lowering your grade. It's important to remember that a grade is a moment in time, a snapshot. It doesn't define who you are or how smart you are. Sometimes, the way things are graded just doesn't quite match how you learn or how you show what you know. It's not always about you. It can be about how the system works, and sometimes those systems can be imperfect. We're all just trying to figure out the best way to understand learning. Have you ever seen your parents look at your math homework, maybe an algebra problem, and just kind of scratch their head? Or perhaps they try to help, but the way they learned it is different from your teacher's way. Here's the thing. Parents often want to help with school, but they don't always know how. This isn't about them not caring. It's a real challenge in our education system. Think about it. School has changed a lot, even in one generation. When your parents were in school, things were different. Today, lessons are more complex, and there are new ways to learn. For instance, some math concepts use visual models that didn't exist decades ago. So, a textbook or assignment can feel like a foreign language to a parent. It's like teaching your grandpa a new video game he's never seen. He wants to play, but he's not sure where to start with all the new controls and rules. This gap can make parents feel lost. They might be unsure how to explain a tough concept or how to talk to teachers effectively. They grew up in a different time, and education keeps moving forward. It's not just the subjects, but also the school system itself. Navigating online learning platforms or school policies can be tricky, and that's why it matters. When parents feel disconnected or unable to help, students might miss out on extra support at home. It's a quiet challenge. But seeing this problem isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding that parents, like students, sometimes need a clear map too. It reminds us that learning is a journey, and sometimes even those helping need a little help themselves. It's a shared path, and everyone needs to feel ready to walk it together. Have you ever felt that tight, anxious feeling when a big deadline is coming, or you have a huge project due? That feeling is often stress. Here's the thing. Stress isn't always bad. A little bit of stress can actually help you focus and get things done. Think about when you're playing a video game, and the clock is ticking down. That pressure can make you play better. But when that feeling becomes too much and it sticks around, that's when it causes problems. It's your body's natural alarm system going off because it feels overwhelmed or threatened, even if it's just by a pile of homework. Long ago, people didn't use the word stress in the way we do today, but they definitely felt pressure. Philosophers like the ancient Greeks often talked about staying calm and not letting external things upset your inner peace. They knew that you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you react. This idea is still super important today. It's about looking inward and finding ways to calm your own mind, even when the world around you feels chaotic. Imagine your brain is like a smartphone. It can handle a lot of apps running at once for a while. But if you keep opening more and more apps and never close any of them, what happens? Your phone slows down, gets hot, and eventually freezes or crashes. That's kind of what happens to us when we're constantly stressed without a way to cool down or close some apps. Our minds get bogged down and it's hard to think clearly or feel good. So it's not about trying to avoid every stressful moment, because life will always throw challenges our way. It's impossible to live without any stress at all. The real problem is not learning the skills to deal with it, to manage that pressure so it doesn't break us. It's about understanding what makes you feel overwhelmed and then finding simple ways to cope. Maybe it's talking to someone, taking a walk, or just taking a few deep breaths. When we learn these things, we build resilience. Think of a strong tree. It bends with the wind, but it doesn't break. It's about learning to bend, not break, and finding your balance even when things are tough. This quiet strength can really help you navigate school and life. Have you ever felt that little knot in your stomach before raising your hand, or when you're asked to answer a question? It's that feeling where you know the answer, or think you do, but something holds you back. That feeling, that hesitation, is often the fear of making a mistake. It's the worry that if you say the wrong thing or get something incorrect, someone might judge you. Maybe you worry about what your friends will think or what the teacher will say. Here's the thing. This fear can make us quiet. It can make us hold back ideas or questions that are actually really good. It makes us play it safe, even when being brave would help us learn more. Think about it like this. For a long time, people believed that to be smart meant to never make a mistake. Ancient thinkers, even someone like the Greek philosopher Socrates, who loved asking questions, probably saw people afraid to look foolish. But the truth is, making mistakes is part of how we learn. It's not about being perfect from the start. Imagine learning to ride a bike. No one just hops on and rides perfectly the first time. You wobble, you fall, maybe you skin a knee, and that's okay. Each wobble teaches you about balance. Each fall shows you what not to do next time. Pretty soon, you're riding smoothly, and you wouldn't have gotten there without those early falls. Mistakes in class are kind of like those wobbles and falls. They're not failures, they're feedback. They show us where we need to adjust our understanding. So here's what I found. True learning isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about being brave enough to make them, to learn from them, and to try again. When we let go of that fear, our minds open up. We become more curious. We become stronger thinkers. And that's a powerful thing to realize. Have you ever stared at a test paper, seeing that low score, and felt your stomach drop? That heavy, sinking feeling? It's tough, right? When we get a bad grade, it often feels like a punch to the gut. It makes us think, am I not smart enough? Or did I waste my time? But here's the thing. That grade is just a number. It's a snapshot, not the whole story of who you are or what you know. It's about how you did on that test, that day. For a long time, people didn't even have grades. Imagine that. In ancient times, learning was more about understanding and wisdom, passed down through stories and practice. Think about how a blacksmith learned their trade, not by getting a C on a forging test, but by making a lot of bad horseshoes until they made good ones. They learned through trying, failing, and trying again. The idea of grades, as we know them, is actually pretty new. It came about largely to sort students and see who was ready for the next step. But true learning, the kind that sticks, often comes from making mistakes. Think about learning to ride a bike. Did you just hop on and pedal perfectly the first time? Probably not. You wobbled. You might have scraped a knee or two. Those falls weren't a sign you could never ride a bike. They were just part of the process. Each fall taught you something, maybe how to balance better or how to steer. A bad grade is a bit like falling off your bike. It's not a stop sign. It's just information that tells you where you might need to adjust your balance. So when that feeling hits, remember it's okay to feel disappointed, but don't let that number define you. It doesn't mean you're not capable or that you won't succeed. It just means there's something new to learn, perhaps about the subject or about how you study. Every challenge, even a bad grade, is a chance to grow. It's part of your journey, not the end of it. Have you ever looked at your school schedule and wondered, why am I learning this and why can't I choose something else? It's a common thought, and it points to a big part of our education system. Not having a say in what you learn. This means that, for the most part, someone else decides all the subjects, topics, and skills you need to learn. You don't get to pick what genuinely sparks your interest or seems most useful to you. Think about it like this. Imagine you're at a huge buffet, but you're only allowed to eat certain dishes chosen for you, even if you'd rather try something else. Schools have always had a set menu, a curriculum, because the idea was to make sure everyone learned basic, important things. For a long time, the main goal was to prepare everyone with the same set of facts and skills, like knowing history or how to do math problems, so they could fit into society or get a job. It wasn't really about what you specifically wanted to explore. Here's the thing. Forcing kids to learn things they have no interest in can be like trying to push a square peg into a round hole. Think about learning a new hobby. If your parents made you take piano lessons every day, but you secretly dreamed of playing the guitar, how much would you really enjoy practicing? You might go through the motions, but your heart wouldn't be in it. You might even start to dislike music altogether. It's the same with learning in school. When you don't have any choice, learning can feel less like an adventure and more like a chore. It stops being about your own curiosity and discovery. When students get a chance to follow their own interests, even just a little, they often become much more engaged. They remember more, and they learn to love learning itself, not just pass a test. Maybe true learning begins when we get to ask our own questions. Ever sat in class, learning something, and thought, when am I ever going to use this in real life? That feeling right there, that's what we mean by lessons that don't feel relevant. It's when what you're learning seems disconnected from your daily life, your future job, or even just understanding the world around you. It can feel like you're memorizing facts just for a test, without seeing a bigger purpose. For a long time, people have thought about what schools should teach. Back in ancient Greece, some wise thinkers believed learning was good just for the sake of knowing. They thought deep thinking made you a better person, no matter the topic. But even then, other people felt education should directly help you live well and contribute to your community. So, this idea of relevance of learning things that matter in your life isn't new. It's a question people have been asking for thousands of years. Think about learning something like, say, how to find the volume of a very odd shape in geometry. You do the math, you get the answer, but you might wonder, will I ever need this to buy groceries or fix something at home? It's a bit like learning how to perfectly peel an orange with a spoon when all you really want is to eat the orange. Here's the thing. When lessons don't connect to our world, it can be tough to stay interested. Our brains are wired to pay attention to things that seem useful or meaningful. If we don't see the why, school can feel like just memorizing facts and then forgetting them right after the bell rings. But what if we could see the hidden threads connecting what we learn in class to the bigger picture? What if that geometry lesson, for example, actually helps someone design a safer bridge, a more stable building, or even a cooler video game level? When we understand how knowledge fits into the world, it stops being just facts in a book. It becomes a tool, a way to understand a piece of something much larger. And that's why it matters to connect what we learn to the lives we live. It helps us feel that school isn't just a place we have to go, but a place where we gain powerful ways to see and shape our world. Have you ever felt a storm brewing inside your head? Maybe you felt really overwhelmed or worried and just didn't know who to talk to. That's where mental health support comes in. It's not just about doctors or therapy, though those can be part of it. It's about having trusted adults at school, counselors, teachers, even nurses, who are trained to listen, understand, and guide you when things feel heavy. For a long time, people mostly focused on physical health. If you broke an arm, everyone saw it and knew you needed help. But feelings and thoughts, the things happening inside your mind, weren't always talked about openly. Even ancient thinkers, like philosophers in old Greece, talked about the mind. But they didn't have the kind of focused support systems we now understand are needed. It was often seen as something personal, to be dealt with alone. But here's the thing, your mind is just as important as your body. Think of it like this. If your phone is running slow, freezing up, or crashing, you need to update its software or clear out junk files, right? You wouldn't just leave it broken and expect it to work perfectly. Our minds are a bit like that. When we're stressed, anxious, or sad, it's like our mental operating system is glitching. Without someone to help us troubleshoot or recharge, it's hard to focus in class, enjoy friendships, or even just feel okay. And that's why it matters so much that schools have enough people and resources dedicated to mental well-being. When this kind of support is missing, students can feel isolated, They might feel like they're facing big problems all by themselves. It's hard to learn new things when your mind is full of static. Everyone deserves a safe space to talk about what's going on inside. Everyone deserves help sorting through tough emotions. And everyone deserves to be reminded that they are not alone. A calm, healthy mind helps us learn, grow, and truly shine. Have you ever felt like tests are the biggest part of school? Like everything depends on that one score? Maybe you've studied for hours, felt your heart race, and then only felt good if you got a perfect grade. This feeling, this idea that only a top score is truly good enough, is what we mean by the pressure to get perfect test scores. It's not just about learning and understanding, it's about the number itself, the 100%, the A+. This kind of pressure can make learning feel less like exploring and more like a high-stakes game where you can't make a single mistake. For a long time, people have tried to find ways to measure how much someone knows. Back when schools started to become bigger and more common, tests were an easy way to sort students and see how schools were doing. The idea was to be fair, to have a clear way to compare, but over time the focus sometimes shifted from what you learned to how well you scored on one specific day. It's like the score started to matter more than the real growth and understanding that happened along the way. Think about it like learning to ride a bike. When you first start, do you expect to never fall? To instantly pedal perfectly straight? No, you wobble, you might fall, but you keep trying. What truly matters is that you learn to balance, steer, and eventually ride on your own. The score isn't how many times you didn't fall on your first try, but that you learned to ride. But with tests, sometimes it feels like only that one perfect ride counts, even if you've been practicing for months and improved a lot. Here's the thing. True learning isn't always neat and tidy, fitting into a perfect bubble on a test sheet. It's a messy, wonderful journey with mistakes and breakthroughs. Sometimes, when we focus too much on that one perfect score, we forget that the real goal is to understand, to think, and to grow as a person. Your worth isn't found in a number on a test. It's in your curiosity, your effort, and the unique way you see the world. Learning should open doors, not just demand a perfect key. Have you ever thought about how much work teachers actually do and what that work is really worth? Here's the thing. Teaching is one of the most important jobs out there. Teachers guide us, they explain complicated ideas, and they help us grow into the people we're meant to be. But often, the people doing this incredibly important work aren't paid enough. This means their salaries, the money they earn each year, are often much lower than what someone with a similar level of education or responsibility might make in other jobs, like an engineer or a doctor. For a long time, across many different societies, teaching has been seen as a noble profession. People understood that teaching helps build a strong future. But over time, maybe we've forgotten just how much value that really brings. It's like society asks teachers to do something truly amazing, shape minds, inspire futures, but then doesn't always show that appreciation in their paychecks. If we want the best and brightest people to become teachers, shouldn't we make sure the job is rewarding, not just in spirit, but also in how they can live? Imagine you're trying to build an amazing treehouse. You need good tools, strong wood, and someone skilled to help you. If the person who knows how to build the best tree houses, who can make it safe and fun, is offered very little money, they might choose to build something else instead, something that pays more. Maybe they become a regular carpenter building houses, which is important, but not the specific specialized work of crafting your dream tree house. It's kind of like that with teaching. If we want the best people teaching our classes, the ones who make learning exciting and easy to understand, we need to make sure the job is worth it for them. So when teachers aren't paid enough, it's not just about them. It affects everyone. It can make it harder to attract new, talented people to teaching. And it can make it tough for current teachers to stay focused on just teaching, because they might be worried about paying their bills. Ultimately, a society that truly values its future and its young people should also deeply value those who guide them. It's a quiet truth, but a powerful one. Supporting our teachers means supporting ourselves. Ever wondered who makes big choices for your school? Beyond your principal, there are bigger things, like what classes are offered or where money goes. That's often the school board's job. These elected groups guide the district. They usually want what's best for students and the community. But sometimes, even with good intentions, they make choices that don't quite work out or even cause problems. Think of chefs deciding a school cafeteria menu. They might think, pizza every day, kids love pizza, sounds good, right? But soon, students might lack nutrients or get tired of pizza. It was a well-meaning idea, but not the best long-term plan for health. Historically, school boards exist because people believe local communities should guide their children's education. It made sense for town folks to decide what was important. But what worked decades ago is more complex now. Schools are bigger, needs diverse, and money is often tight. A board might cut music or art funding to save money, thinking core subjects like math are more important. On paper, it seems smart, but students lose creative outlets, feel less connected, affecting their learning, or they might adopt an expensive new textbook without truly knowing if it helps, leaving teachers scrambling. It's easy to point fingers when things go wrong, but big decisions affecting thousands are incredibly difficult. It's like steering a huge ship through a stormy sea. Everyone has different ideas. The challenge isn't just deciding, but choosing a path that truly helps everyone, considering hidden ripples. It's a reminder that even dedicated people face tough choices, and sometimes their path doesn't lead where they hoped, and that's why it matters. Have you ever tried to bake a cake without enough flour, or tried to build something cool but were missing a crucial tool? It's frustrating, right? You know what you want to do, but you just don't have what you need to do it well. Here's the thing. Sometimes our schools face a similar problem. This is not enough supplies in the classroom. It can be simple, like not enough pencils, paper, or erasers for everyone. But it also means bigger stuff. Old textbooks falling apart, or science labs missing key equipment like microscopes. Sometimes even basic things like working computers or reliable internet are in short supply. Think about it this way. Learning is like being an artist or an inventor. To create, you need materials and tools. For a long time, people have known that having the right instruments makes a huge difference. If you want to paint, you need colors. If you want to explore cells, you need a microscope. When these tools aren't there, or there aren't enough, it limits what you can learn. Imagine your English class needs to read a novel, but there aren't enough copies for every student to take home. Or maybe you're in art class and there's only one set of paints for 5 students to share. That's a real problem. It doesn't just make learning harder, it can make you feel less important, like your education isn't worth proper investment. So this problem isn't just about lacking things, it's about how those missing things create barriers. It reminds us that every student deserves the right tools to learn and explore. A well-equipped classroom is more than just a place with stuff. It's a space where curiosity can truly grow. Have you ever sat in class, looking at the board, and just felt nothing? Like the words and numbers were floating by, but your brain wasn't really grabbing onto them? Here's the thing. When students don't feel motivated to learn, it's not always about being lazy. It's about that inner spark, that natural urge to know more, going quiet. Schoolwork can feel like a chore, not an exciting challenge. Your body might be in class, but your mind is somewhere else entirely. It's like running a race without knowing why you're running or where the finish line is. For thousands of years, humans have learned by exploring and asking questions. Think of ancient explorers or early scientists wondering why apples fall. That drive to understand is a deep part of us. We are naturally curious. But sometimes, when learning is just about tests and grades, that natural curiosity gets lost. It's hard to feel excited if you don't see how it connects to your life or have a say in how you learn. Imagine you love a video game. You're motivated because you see the goal, understand the rules, and feel challenged just enough. But what if that game suddenly became boring, too hard, or you had no idea why you were playing it? You'd probably stop wanting to play, right? Learning can be similar. If lessons don't feel relevant, or they're too easy or hard, or you don't get to explore what truly interests you, that desire to learn can just fade away. So when motivation goes missing, it's not always a flaw in the student. It's often a sign that we need to rethink how we approach learning. Education should light up our minds, not put them to sleep. It should help us chase our natural curiosities and discover the amazing world. Because that feeling of truly understanding something new, that's one of the best feelings there is. Have you ever wondered what the real point of school is? Sometimes, it feels like the most important thing is the letter on your report card, not truly understanding what you're studying. This is a big problem. When we focus too much on getting high grades, we might lose sight of the actual learning itself. It's like we're playing a game where the only goal is to collect points, even if we don't remember the rules or why we're playing. For a long time, people thought learning was about growing as a person. Think about older times, when teachers and wise people cared more about students developing deep wisdom or learning a skill properly, like building a house or painting a picture. They wanted students to really know things inside and out. But now, with all the tests, quizzes, and scores, school can sometimes feel less about true understanding and more about performing well for a grade. We might memorize facts just for a test, then forget them the next day. The grade becomes the finish line, not the journey. Consider learning to ride a bicycle. You wouldn't say you know how to ride a bike just because you passed a written test about bicycle parts, right? The real learning happens when you push off, wobble, fall, and then finally feel that amazing balance. It's about the wind in your face and the freedom you gain. The grade on a piece of paper can't capture that. Here's the thing. Grades are supposed to show what you know, but when they become the only goal, we might miss out on the actual skill, the real understanding, and the quiet joy of discovery. Maybe the deepest reward isn't the number on a paper, but the spark of curiosity in your mind. It's the feeling when a tricky idea finally clicks, or when you can actually do something you once thought was impossible. That kind of learning sticks with you, building a mind that loves to explore and question long after any test score is forgotten. Have you ever felt so much riding on one test, one project, or one grade? It can feel like a heavy backpack you can't take off. For many kids, this intense pressure makes them do something they normally wouldn't: cheat. Cheating isn't just about being lazy. It often comes from a deep fear of failing. Think about it. Our education system sometimes feels like a big race. There are high grades to get, colleges to aim for, and expectations from parents, teachers, and ourselves. When kids feel they can't meet these pressure builds, it gets so strong that cheating starts to look like the only way out. It's a shortcut taken out of desperation, not a desire to be dishonest. Pressure to succeed isn't new. People have always faced it. In ancient times, honor was everything. Your good name was your whole world. But even then, some took hidden paths if their honor was at risk. This struggle between doing what's right and what feels necessary is a very old human problem. Imagine a simple science experiment. You need to grow a plant, and everyone expects yours to be the tallest. Your plant isn't growing fast enough. The show-off date is close. You feel panic. A small voice whispers, "Just add a fake leaf, no one will know." That's a tiny example of the pressure some students feel, where the outcome seems more important than the learning. Here's what happens. Even if they succeed, the relief is short-lived. It's replaced by quiet worry, that feeling that the achievement isn't truly theirs. Learning is about growth, like a seed becoming a strong tree. True strength comes from understanding why our plant grew or didn't, and learning for next time. It's a quiet wisdom. Our effort matters more than a perfect score. You know that feeling in class where your brain feels full and you just want a few minutes to stop and breathe? That feeling is super common, right? It turns out, wanting a break isn't just about wanting to play. It's a really important signal from your brain and body. Here's the thing. In many schools today, recess and break times have shrunk, sometimes almost disappearing. What does this mean? A break isn't just free time. It's how humans learn and stay healthy. Think about it. For hundreds of years, people knew humans need to move and rest. Ancient thinkers would walk and talk while they thought. Older schools usually had more time for kids to play outside. It wasn't just a reward, it was part of learning. But over time, we started packing more into the school day, like every minute had to be about sitting and learning. Your brain isn't a machine that can just run forever, it's more like a muscle. If you work out a muscle without resting, it gets tired and won't work as well. Your brain is similar. After focusing hard, it needs a chance to reset. Taking a break lets your mind wander, your body move, and helps you process new information. It's like when you're working on something big and step back to look at it. That little pause gives you a new perspective. So when schools cut down on recess or break time, kids often get more restless, find it harder to focus, and can even feel more stressed. It's harder to absorb new ideas when your brain is already overwhelmed. A good break isn't a waste of time. It's an investment in your ability to learn better. It gives your mind room to breathe so you can come back feeling refreshed and ready. It helps you understand that learning isn't just about sitting still, but about moving and resting too. Ever had clothes that just didn't feel right? Maybe a shirt that was too scratchy, or pants that squeezed in all the wrong places? For many students, their school uniform can feel exactly like this. It might be the fabric, stiff or itchy against your skin, or maybe the fit, too tight in the sleeves, too baggy around the waist. Sometimes, it's just too hot or too cold, no matter what the weather is doing outside. When you're constantly aware of what you're wearing, it's hard to focus on anything else. Your mind isn't on the teacher's lesson or the tricky math problem. Instead, you're thinking about that collar digging into your neck or those pants that won't let you sit comfortably. This isn't just a small annoyance. It's a real distraction that takes away from your learning. Uniforms started out with good intentions. A long time ago, people thought uniforms would make everyone equal, so no one felt left out because of their clothes. They were supposed to help students focus on learning, not on what others were wearing. The idea was that a uniform helped create discipline and showed you were part of the school community. But here's the problem. Those old ideas sometimes forgot about the actual people wearing the uniform. They didn't always think about how different fabrics feel or how everyone's body is unique. A uniform that works okay for one student might be a real bother for another. Think about trying to read a book while a mosquito keeps buzzing around your ear. You'd keep swatting at it, right? Your attention would be split. It's a bit like that with an uncomfortable uniform in school. That little itch or tight spot keeps pulling your focus away from what you're supposed to be doing. So, a uniform isn't just a piece of clothing you put on. It's part of the environment where you learn and grow each day. If it's uncomfortable, it creates a small, constant drain on your attention. A good learning environment should help you feel calm and ready to think clearly, not annoyed by your clothes. Because when you're truly comfortable, your mind is free to explore, to question, and to truly learn. Have you ever felt like a school rule just didn't make sense? We know rules are important, they keep us safe and help classrooms work, but sometimes rules can feel like they're holding us back instead of helping us grow. When we say too strict, we mean rules that feel overly controlling or even unnecessary. Rules in a school are there to build a good environment. They're like a house's frame. You need walls and a roof, but also space to live freely. For a long time, people have thought about how much control is good. In schools, rules aim to teach good habits and responsibility. But when rules are too many or too detailed, limiting how you think, speak, or express yourself, that's when they become a problem. It's about finding a fair balance between order and personal freedom. Imagine you want to draw something amazing, but the art teacher says you can only use blue crayons and draw perfect squares. You'd still draw, but it wouldn't be the unique piece you first imagined. That's how strict school rules can feel. They can make it harder for students to show who they are or to try new ideas. Instead of building independence, they can teach us to just follow directions without thinking. So, what happens when rules are too rigid? School can feel less like a place to explore and more like one where every step is watched. Learning grows when we feel trusted and respected, even with clear boundaries. Rules should help us grow, not just keep us in line. They should guide us toward being thoughtful, responsible people, not just obedient ones. That's a big idea to consider. Ever feel like there's a part of you that just wants to invent something new, or draw a wild picture, or find a totally different way to solve a problem? Sometimes, school might not feel like the place where those ideas can truly grow. This is one of our challenges, not enough chances to be creative. Creativity is about using your imagination to make something new or find fresh solutions. It's not just about art, it's also about thinking differently in science, writing, or everyday life. When we don't get enough chances to use this skill, it's like having a special talent but never getting to practice. For ages, humans learned by exploring and inventing. Think about Leonardo da Vinci, an artist and inventor from long ago. He didn't just copy. He looked at the world with fresh eyes, sketching flying machines. Ancient thinkers believed imagination was key. They saw it as how we dream up new ideas and connect unrelated things. Here's the thing. Your brain is like a playground for ideas. When you're given a problem and told to find your own solution, your brain makes new connections. It's like playing with Legos without instructions. You can build anything you imagine. But if you're always just following steps for one specific thing, you learn that method, not how to invent. So, when schools don't offer enough creative opportunities, we might miss developing that inventor part of our mind. It makes you think, doesn't it? What amazing things could we discover if we had more room to let our imaginations wander and build? A school inviting us to imagine more might teach us not just facts, but how to truly think for ourselves. Have you ever tried to learn something just by reading about it? Like learning to ride a bike from a book? You can read all day, but until you actually get on the bike, feel the pedals and the balance, you don't truly get it. This is what we mean by missing out on hands-on learning. Here's the thing, hands-on learning is all about doing. It's about experiencing. Instead of just hearing about science, you do an experiment. Instead of just reading history, you might visit an old building or try a craft from that time. People have learned this way for thousands of years. A young person learned to hunt by actually hunting, to build by helping build. They weren't just reading about these things. They were out there doing them. That direct experience made the knowledge stick. Sometimes in school, we spend a lot of time on books and lectures. Those are important, for sure. But when we don't get enough chances to actually do things, some parts of our learning just don't click deeply. Imagine trying to bake your favorite cookies. You can read the recipe, even watch a video. But the real learning happens when you measure the flour, crack the eggs, mix the dough, and smell them baking. You learn by feeling the texture, by seeing ingredients come together. That's a different kind of understanding than just memorizing steps. When we miss out on these chances to truly engage with what we're learning, it's like only reading a map, but never taking the journey. We might know the facts, but we don't always feel the deep connection or build that inner picture of how things truly work. Learning by doing makes knowledge feel alive, makes it part of you, and helps it stay with you long after the test is over. It helps us feel the truth of what we learn. You know how grown-ups often ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's a big question. We often hear about jobs like doctor, teacher, or lawyer. Those are great, super important even. But here's the thing, our world is full of so many kinds of work, so many ways to contribute. And sometimes, school doesn't teach us much about all those other possibilities. This means we often only see a small slice of what's out there. Imagine a big puzzle, but you only ever see a few corner pieces. You wouldn't know the whole picture. For centuries, people have done all sorts of jobs, crafting tools, exploring new lands, telling stories, designing buildings. Ancient societies, for example, needed not just leaders, but also farmers, artisans for clothes and pottery, and engineers for structures. Everyone had a role, and all roles were valuable. Think about a movie production. It's not just the actors on screen. There are directors, camera operators, sound engineers, costume designers, writers, editors, set builders, and even caterers. Every person is important for that movie. If you only knew about acting, you might miss your passion for, say, designing incredible costumes. When we don't learn about these diverse roles, our choices can feel limited. It's not about forcing anyone into a job they don't want. Instead, it's about opening our minds to all the amazing things people do every day. Knowing more options lets us think bigger about our own unique talents and what mark we want to make. It helps us feel less lost and more excited about finding our true path. Have you ever walked into a place and just felt unwelcomed? Maybe the air felt heavy or the colors were dull. It's like the building itself is sending you a message, and sometimes that message isn't a good one. Here's the thing, our school buildings can make us feel this way. It's not just about being old or new, it's about how they look and feel inside and out. Are there broken windows, dim hallways, or paint peeling off the walls? Do the bathrooms feel scary to use? When a school building looks uncared for, it can make students feel like they don't matter, or that their education isn't important. This idea that our surroundings affect us isn't new. Think about how ancient people built grand temples or cozy homes. They knew that the spaces we inhabit shape our moods and our thoughts. If you're in a dark, messy room, it's hard to feel cheerful or focused, right? But if you're in a bright, clean space, you might feel more energized and ready to learn. It's a simple truth. Our environment impacts how we feel and what we can do. Think about your own bedroom. If it's messy, with clothes everywhere, and old papers piled up, you probably don't feel very peaceful or ready to do homework there. But if it's tidy, with good lighting and comfortable spots, it feels much easier to relax or concentrate. A school building is kind of like that. If it's rundown, cold, or just plain sad, it's really hard for anyone to feel excited about being there, let alone focused on learning. It's like trying to enjoy a movie in a freezing, noisy theater. The setting just takes away from the experience. So, when a school building feels unwelcoming, it's more than just a minor problem. It can quietly tell students that their comfort, safety, and even their learning aren't a top priority. It reminds us that places, just like people, can either invite us in or push us away. And for a place where we spend so much time learning and growing, we deserve a space that truly welcomes us. Have you ever noticed how some days it just feels easier to grab a bag of chips or a sugary drink at school instead of something truly healthy? Or maybe the only options available don't include many fresh fruits or vegetables? Here's the thing. For many students, getting their hands on good, nourishing food right at school or even nearby can be surprisingly hard. This is what we mean by limited access to healthy food choices. It's not about making bad choices on purpose. It's about not having many good choices to begin with. Sometimes, school cafeterias might have budget limits, meaning they can't always offer a wide variety of fresh, whole foods. And outside of school, the shops closest to home might mostly sell processed snacks rather than affordable, healthy groceries. For a long time, people have understood that what we put into our bodies affects our minds. Ancient thinkers, even thousands of years ago, believed that a healthy body helped create a healthy mind, ready for learning and clear thinking. It's a simple but powerful idea. Think of your brain like a top-tier racing car. If you fill that car with low-quality fuel, it might still run, but it won't perform its best. It might sputter, slow down, or even stop. But when you fill it with the right, high-octane fuel, it zooms, it handles, turns perfectly, and it wins races. Our brains are a lot like that racing car. When we give them good, nutritious food, the kind that has vitamins, minerals, and lasting energy, they can focus better, think more clearly, and feel ready to tackle tough subjects. But if our main fuel is quick sugars or processed snacks, our brains might feel sluggish, like that car running on bad fuel. So here's what it comes down to. Everyone deserves the chance to feel their best, especially when they're trying to learn and grow. When access to good food is limited, it can make it harder for our brains and bodies to do their jobs well. It's not just about what tastes good, but about giving ourselves the best chance to thrive in school and beyond. It's a quiet but important challenge we face. Have you ever felt a little stiff? Like your body just wants to stretch out, but you're stuck in your seat counting down the minutes until the bell rings? Here's the thing. Our schools, for all their good intentions, often don't give us enough time to really move. It's a quiet problem, but a big one. What we're talking about is simply not moving our bodies enough throughout the school day. Think about it. A lot of our time is spent sitting at desks, looking at screens or books. We might have one gym class, maybe a short recess if we're lucky, but our bodies are actually built for movement, for running, jumping, and exploring. For most of human history, people were constantly active, from hunting and gathering to building and farming. Our brains and bodies evolved together, expecting to be busy. This isn't just about feeling squirmy, it's about how our brains work too. Imagine your brain is like a powerful supercomputer. When you move, especially when you get your heart rate up, it's like you're sending a rush of clean energy and fresh air right to that computer. It helps clear out the clutter and makes new connections. Think about how a walk can help you solve a problem you've been stuck on. That's your brain getting its flow back. Without enough movement, it's like your supercomputer is trying to run on low power, slow and sluggish, even if it's the smartest computer in the world. So when we don't move enough, it's not just our muscles that get tired or our energy that dips, our minds can feel it too. It makes it harder to focus, to learn new things, and even to feel happy. It's a quiet reminder that true learning isn't just about what happens in our heads, but what happens when our whole being, body, and mind works together. It's about remembering that movement isn't just a break from learning, it's a crucial part of it. Have you ever walked into a room where everyone already knew each other and you didn't know anyone at all? Maybe it was a new class, a new club, or even a new school. That feeling, like you're on the outside looking in, is what we're talking about here. It's when you feel like you don't belong yet, or like you're invisible. This happens a lot to students who are new, and it's a real problem for our education system. When you're new, you don't know the inside jokes. You don't know who to sit with at lunch. You don't know which teachers are strict or who is good at explaining things. And you definitely don't know all the little rules or traditions of the place. Humans have always lived in groups. Way back, being part of a tribe was about survival. It meant you were safe, you had food, and you had people to share your life with. So, when someone feels disconnected, it taps into something really old inside us. It's like our brains are saying, wait, where's my group? This feeling isn't just about being shy. It's a deep need to connect. Think about a brand new instrument trying to join an orchestra that's already playing a complex piece of music. The new instrument might know the notes, but it doesn't know the flow, the timing, or how to blend with the others yet. It needs time to find its place and make beautiful music with everyone else. And here's the thing, everyone feels this way sometimes. It's a natural part of being human. It can be hard when you're new and you feel alone. But remember, most people have been new at some point. Building connections takes time. It's like growing a plant. You need to water it often and give it light. Slowly, it gets stronger. So, if you're new, know that it's okay to feel this way. And if you see someone new, maybe a small welcome can make a big difference. We all want to feel like we belong. Have you ever felt like you have so much homework, so many projects, and after-school activities that your brain just feels full, like you can't fit anything else in? Well, imagine feeling like that, but it's your whole job, every day. This is often how teachers feel when they are overworked and stressed. It means they have too much on their plate. They might teach too many classes or have huge numbers of students. Beyond teaching, there's lots of grading, planning, meetings, and other duties. All this work adds up, leaving little time to rest or think clearly. Long ago, even ancient Greek thinkers knew a calm mind was key for teaching well. They understood that constant pressure stops us from being our best. Here's the thing. A teacher always stressed is like running a marathon daily without enough sleep or food. They get tired, and it's harder to give their best energy to each student. Think about your phone. If it's always running apps, but never gets plugged in to charge, what happens? Its battery drains fast. A teacher's energy and patience are like that battery. If they're constantly on and giving, never recharging, their energy runs low. This makes it harder for them to be patient, creative, or connect with you. So when teachers are pushed too hard, it's not just hard on them. It can also make it harder for students to learn. A classroom works best when the teacher guiding it is supported and has the time and energy to truly care for every mind in the room. It's a quiet reminder that even the people who help us learn need care and space to thrive. Have you ever stopped to think about what it means for teachers to keep learning? We often talk about students needing to learn, but what about the people who teach us every day? Not enough training for teachers means that sometimes the adults guiding our classrooms might not get all the new knowledge or practice they need. Think of it this way. The world changes really fast, right? New discoveries happen, new technologies pop up, and we learn more about how our brains actually learn. So, teaching methods that worked perfectly 20 years ago might not be the best fit for students today. Teachers need chances to learn new strategies, new ways to explain tough ideas, and how to use the latest tools. It's about staying fresh and effective. It's kind of like a skilled chef. Imagine a chef who learned to cook amazing food 10 years ago, but then never learned any new recipes, never tried new ingredients, or never saw new cooking techniques. Their food might still be good, but they wouldn't be able to cook the most exciting, popular dishes that people want today. They'd be stuck in the past. Teachers are like that. For them to truly help us grow and get ready for a world that's always changing, they need to keep adding new skills to their teaching toolkit. They need to explore what works best for different students and subjects. So, when we talk about teachers not having enough training, we're not blaming them. We're pointing out that the system needs to offer more chances for them to grow. Because when teachers have the best and newest ways to teach, it doesn't just make their jobs easier, it makes learning better and more interesting for every single student. It helps create a stronger, brighter path for all of us in school and beyond. Have you ever stopped to think about who your teachers are? Not just their names, but where they come from, or what their lives outside of school might be like? Sometimes, in our schools, there aren't enough teachers from all sorts of different backgrounds. This is what we mean by a lack of diverse teachers. It means that most teachers might share similar experiences or look a lot alike, rather than reflecting the wide variety of people in our towns and in the world. For a long time, teaching was seen as a job for a certain type of person. But the truth is, wisdom and understanding come in countless forms. Every person has their own story, their own way of looking at the world, shaped by their culture, their family, and their life journey. When the people teaching us mostly come from one background, we might miss out on hearing different points of view. We might not learn about different cultures firsthand or see different paths to success. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to understand the whole world by reading books only from one section of the library, like just science fiction novels. Science fiction is cool, but if that's all you ever read, you'd miss out on history, poetry, true stories, and so much more. You wouldn't get a full picture. It's the same with teachers. When you have teachers from many different backgrounds, it's like having access to all sections of the library. They bring different stories, different ways of explaining things, and different insights to the classroom. So, when students, especially students from diverse backgrounds themselves, don't see many teachers who look like them or share similar life experiences, it can feel like something important is missing. It's like looking into a mirror and not seeing your own reflection, or a window that only shows one view. But when schools have teachers from many different walks of life, it reminds us that greatness and kindness can be found in everyone, no matter where they come from. It teaches us that our world is richer when we embrace all the colors and stories it holds. Have you ever noticed how much of school is about you? Your test scores, your homework, your individual projects. It often feels like we're being trained to be really good at working alone. But here's the thing. Real life, outside of school, is almost never like that. Think about it. When you get a job, start a business, or even just plan a simple gathering with friends, you're almost always working with other people. So, what does it mean when we don't learn how to work with others? It means we might not get enough practice sharing our ideas clearly or truly listening to different opinions. It's about not learning how to figure out problems as a group or understanding how to compromise when people have different thoughts. Maybe you've seen this in a sports team where everyone tries to be the star and they end up losing because they don't pass the ball. That's kind of what it's like. From the very beginning of human history, people have needed each other. Imagine early humans trying to hunt a huge woolly mammoth by themselves. Impossible, right? They had to work together, using different skills and strengths. One person might distract, another might set a trap, and others might use their spears. Our entire history, from building ancient cities to creating incredible new technologies, is built on people cooperating. No single person invented the internet or wrote all the books in the library. It truly takes a community working together. This can help you see that when you work with others, you bring different strengths to the table. Someone might be really good at writing, another at organizing, and someone else great at brainstorming wild ideas. When you combine those different skills, the final result is often much richer and stronger than what any one person could do alone. It's like different musical instruments coming together to make a beautiful song. We learn not just how to complete a task, but how to be a valued part of something bigger. And that's why it matters. Learning to work with others teaches us about understanding people, about our own strengths, and about making the world a more connected and capable place. Have you ever felt like school is a race? Like you're just rushing through topics, trying to cover them quickly before the next test? This feeling is part of a big problem, the push to learn faster, not deeper. It means we focus on covering lots of material quickly, sometimes just scratching the surface, instead of truly understanding things completely. Think about building a tower with blocks. If you rush, stacking them fast, it might get tall quickly. But if the bottom blocks aren't solid, the whole thing could wobble and fall. If you take your time, making sure each block is strong and connected, your tower might not grow as fast, but it will be much stronger and last longer. Learning works a lot like that. For a long time, learning wasn't about speed. In the past, people learned skills by becoming an apprentice. They spend years with a master, not just memorizing, but doing the work, repeating it, truly mastering every detail. They learn deeply, step by slow step. That deep learning stuck with them for life. Here's the thing. Our brains learn best when we go deep. When you learn something quickly, it might sit only in your short-term memory, like a note you'll soon lose. But when you learn deeply, Taking time, asking questions, connecting it to other ideas, it's like etching that information into your mind. It becomes a part of you. You don't just know what something is. You understand why and how it connects. This deeper understanding stays with you, helping you think better and solve new problems. It's not just about getting a good grade, it's about truly knowing and growing. Have you ever sat in a class, either totally bored because everything felt too simple, or completely lost because it was just too difficult? It's a common problem, and it makes learning really tough. Here's the thing. For a class to be truly helpful, it needs to be just right for you. Not too easy, not too hard. Think about it like a video game. If the first level is impossible, you'll just quit. But if it's so easy you can beat it with your eyes closed, you'll get bored fast. The goal of school, for a long time, has been about helping each person grow. Even way back, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle talked about finding the golden mean, a sweet spot between two extremes. For learning, this means finding the challenge that's not overwhelming but also not underwhelming. When a class is too easy, you don't learn new things, your brain isn't stretched. It's like trying to get stronger by lifting a feather. You don't build any muscle. And when it's too hard, you get frustrated, maybe even feel stupid, and want to give up. It's like trying to lift a car when you're just starting out. You just can't do it yet. This balance is super important. When a class fits just right, it's exciting. You're challenged enough to pay attention, to try hard, and to feel good when you finally get something. It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, it's wobbly and hard, but then you get the hang of it, and you're not just riding, you're exploring. The right level of challenge keeps you engaged, makes you curious, and helps you see how much you can actually do. It really comes down to this. Learning should feel like growth, not a constant struggle against something too big or too small. It should feel like you're steadily moving forward, building confidence and discovering your own strength along the way. Have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, what you'll do after high school, or maybe even after college? For many of us, thinking about our future career feels a bit like staring into a big, cloudy mirror. You know there's something there, but it's hard to see clearly. That's because a big problem in our education system is that it doesn't offer much real help for figuring out what you want to be. Here's the thing. Schools are great at teaching you math, science, history, and English. And those subjects are super important, but often they don't spend much time connecting those lessons to the thousands of different jobs out there. It's like we're taught how to use a hammer, a screwdriver, and a saw, which are great tools, but no one ever tells us what we could actually build with them, or what problems these tools could solve in the real world. Long ago, things were often simpler. You might work on the family farm, or learn a trade like shoemaking from your parents. Your path was often pretty clear. But today, the world is full of so many amazing and new kinds of work. There are jobs now that didn't even exist 20 years ago, like app developers or drone pilots. It's not just about learning facts anymore. It's about understanding what you're good at and what truly interests you. The ancient Greek thinkers talked about know thyself, really understanding who you are. That idea is still important, but finding that knowledge is harder when you're mostly just learning facts in a textbook. Imagine you're trying to pick a video game, but no one tells you what kind of game it is, what the controls are, or even what the goal is. You'd just be guessing, right? Our education system sometimes asks us to pick a game, a career, without giving us enough clues about how to play or which game suits us best. We need more than just a list of subjects. We need guides who can show us the different worlds those subjects can open up. So it's totally okay if you don't know exactly what you want to do yet. Most adults don't have it all figured out either, but it's a journey of discovery, and our schools could do so much more to light up the path. They could help us truly understand our unique strengths and how they fit into the big, wide world of possibilities. Have you ever wondered why it feels so hard sometimes to keep up with friends when things at school change? Like when you move to a new town, or get a new schedule, or even just move up to a new school building? Here's the thing. Our education system, and how it's often set up, can actually make it tricky to hold on to those important friendships. Think about it this way. For humans, connecting with others is a big deal. It's how we're built. We find comfort and fun in being with people we know and trust. Throughout history, people usually lived in one place for a long time, in the same small village or community. Their friends and family were often right there, day after day, but modern school life often means big transitions. You might leave elementary school friends behind for middle school, or middle school friends for high school. Sometimes families move for work, and you start completely fresh in a new school. It's a bit like playing a team sport where the teams keep getting reshuffled every year. You might build strong connections with your teammates, learn their strengths, and really get into a groove. But then, the next season, some players leave, new ones join, and suddenly you're trying to rebuild that bond, that flow. It's not that anyone did anything wrong, it's just the structure of the game. When school changes force these shifts, it's not because you or your friends aren't trying hard enough. It's because the system moves you around. So, it's okay to feel sad about it. It's a natural human response to losing connections that matter. But it also teaches us that while some friendships might fade, the ability to make new ones and to value the ones that last through anything is a real strength. Have you ever just needed a moment to yourself? Like really needed it? In school, we're always busy. We move from one class to the next, from one task to another. There's a lot of talking, a lot of information, and not much time to just stop. But here's the thing. Our brains, like our bodies, need rest. They need time to sort through everything they've taken in. This idea of quiet time or solitude isn't just about being silent. It's about creating a space where your mind can breathe. It's a chance to think deeply about what you've learned, what you felt, or what's important to you. Think of it this way. When you download a lot of apps onto your phone, sometimes it slows down, right? You might need to close some apps or even restart it so it can work properly again. Our brains are kind of similar. We're constantly taking in new information, new ideas, new sounds, new sights. If we don't get a chance to process all that, our thinking can feel cluttered. Through history, many wise people, from ancient philosophers to famous artists, talked about how important quiet moments were. They didn't have TikTok or constant notifications. They sought out quiet spots to think and create. They knew that true insight often comes when you slow down and look inward, not when you're constantly reacting to the world around you. So, when we don't have enough chances for quiet time at school, it can be hard to truly understand what we're learning. It's hard to connect new ideas to old ones. It's hard to figure out what you think, instead of just repeating what someone else said. It's like trying to listen to soft music in a very loud room. You might hear bits and pieces, but you miss the full song. Giving our minds these quiet moments lets us truly listen to our own thoughts and feelings. It helps us grow not just as students, but as people who can think for ourselves, who understand themselves better. And that's why it matters. Have you ever stopped to think about how much of school feels exactly the same for everyone? The same classes, the same textbooks, even the same schedule for most of the day. It's like we're all on the same path, wearing the same uniform, even if we feel different inside. Here's the thing. Our school system, the way it largely works today, was set up a long time ago. Think about the late 1800s and early 1900s, when factories were becoming huge. People needed to be trained to do specific jobs, often in large groups, following exact instructions. So the idea was to create schools that prepared people for that world. It was an efficient way to teach many students at once, like an assembly line for learning. Everyone got the same information at the same pace so they could fit into those new jobs. But here's the problem. People aren't all the same. We don't all learn the same way or at the same speed. Imagine trying to teach a fish to climb a tree or a bird to swim underwater. Both are smart creatures, but they're built for different things. In the same way, some of us learn best by reading, others by listening, and some really need to do things with their hands. Trying to make everyone learn the same way can make it harder for some of us to truly understand and love what we're learning. It's like expecting everyone to wear the same size shoe. It just doesn't fit all of us comfortably. So, when we talk about school being the same for everyone, it makes us wonder if we're truly helping every student reach their best. Maybe the future of learning should be more about celebrating our differences and helping each of us find the path that helps our unique talents grow strongest. It's about making sure every student feels seen and supported, not just put into the same box. Have you ever felt a rush of strong feelings, maybe anger or deep sadness, and wish you knew how to handle them better? Here's the thing. Our education system often does a great job teaching us about math, history, and science, but it sometimes misses teaching us about something just as vital: our own emotions. Learning how to handle feelings isn't just about not getting mad. It's about understanding why you feel what you feel and then knowing what to do with those feelings in a healthy way. This is called emotional intelligence. Think about it. For a long time, people thought smarts were just about your brain, like solving puzzles. But thinkers from long ago have always talked about the importance of knowing yourself. Ancient Greeks even said, "Know thyself." And that includes your feelings. It's not a new idea. It's just that schools haven't always built it into daily lessons. It's like we focus on the brain's headquarters, but forget about the heart office right next to it. Imagine your emotions are like the weather. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's stormy, with thunder and lightning. You can't stop the storm from coming, right? But you can learn how to prepare for it. You can put on a raincoat or find shelter. You can even learn to watch the storm from a safe place, knowing it will pass. In the same way, we can learn tools to manage our anger, our frustration, or our worries. We learn to put on a raincoat for our feelings instead of letting them wash us away. This might work for you if you take a deep breath, or talk to someone you trust, or even write down what you feel. So, when schools don't teach us these skills, it leaves a gap. It's like teaching us to drive a car but not how to use the brakes when things get bumpy. Learning to handle our emotions isn't about ignoring them. It's about giving ourselves the power to choose how we react. It helps us build stronger friendships, make better decisions, and simply feel more peaceful inside. And that's why it matters so much for our well-being, now and in the future. Have you ever felt like science class can sometimes feel a little bit dull? It's odd, right? Because the real world, the one science tries to explain, is full of amazing stuff. Think about how a rainbow forms, or why your phone works, or how a tiny seed grows into a huge tree. Science itself isn't just a pile of facts or equations in a book. It's actually a way of asking questions. It's about wondering, how does that work? Or why does this happen? The problem often isn't the science itself, but how we learn about it. It can feel like just memorizing answers instead of exploring the questions. Think about the first scientists, way back when. People like ancient Greek thinkers or those during the Renaissance, centuries ago. They didn't have fancy labs or giant textbooks handed to them. They just looked at the world around them with wide eyes. They watched apples fall or studied the stars with their own eyes, charting their paths. They were filled with curiosity, a deep desire to understand. Science really began with this deep curiosity, with people trying to figure things out for themselves by observing and testing. Not just memorizing what someone else said, it was about the thrill of discovery, not just getting a good grade. Here's an example. Imagine learning to cook. You could read a cookbook cover to cover, memorize every ingredient and step, but you don't truly learn until you get into the kitchen, measure things, make a mess, and taste what you've made. You learn by doing, by trying, by making mistakes and fixing them. Science is like that. It's about doing experiments, seeing reactions with your own eyes, and even when things don't go as planned, you learn something new. It's about making observations and drawing your own conclusions, not just reading about what should happen. So, when science feels boring, maybe it's because we're missing the true spirit of exploration. It's meant to be an exciting journey into the unknown, a way to see the magic and order hidden in everyday things. Science isn't just about knowing answers. It's about asking better questions, following your curiosity, and appreciating the incredible, complex world we live in. It should make you wonder, not just remember details for a test. Have you ever looked at something happening today and thought, this feels familiar? Maybe you've seen a problem at school or in the news, and it reminds you of something similar from the past. Well, that's kind of what we mean when we talk about history lessons that seem to repeat. Here's the thing. It's not that everything happens exactly the same way, like a movie played on repeat. Instead, it's more like we see similar kinds of choices or similar kinds of problems showing up again and again through time. It's like the human story has certain patterns. People in different eras and different places sometimes face the same types of challenges. They might make similar mistakes, or they might discover similar solutions. It's because human nature, at its core, doesn't really change that much. We all have hopes, fears, and ways of reacting to the world around us. Wise people, for a very long time, have pointed out that if we don't pay attention to what happened before, we might just make the same mistakes. It's like trying to build a tower without looking at how the last one fell down. Think about this. Imagine you're doing a science experiment, and you skip a step, causing it to fail. The next time you try a different experiment, you might forget a different but equally important step, and it fails again. The specific details are different, but the pattern for getting a crucial step is the same. And that's why history class isn't just about memorizing old names and dates. It's about noticing these echoes. It's about seeing how people reacted to challenges in the past, both good and bad. When we understand these patterns, it gives us a chance to make different, hopefully better choices for our own time. It gives us a kind of quiet power to shape what comes next, not just repeat what was. Have you ever walked into an English class and felt like you were stepping into a time machine? We often find ourselves reading books written long, long ago. Think Romeo and Juliet or Great Expectations. These are incredible stories, full of deep ideas and beautiful language. But here's the thing. Sometimes English class focuses only on these older books. This isn't about saying old books are bad. Far from it. The problem happens when they are the only kind of book we get to explore. Imagine your favorite band. Now imagine that all you ever got to listen to was music from bands that broke up 100 years ago. You'd miss out on all the new songs, new styles, and new artists making music today. It's kind of like that with books. For a long time, schools often picked books that were considered classics. These were usually written by people from a specific time and place, mostly men, mostly from Europe. The idea was that these books held important lessons or showed the best writing. But what happens when we only read books from the past? We might miss stories from people who look like us, or live in places like ours, or face challenges that feel very real today. It's like trying to understand how phones work by only studying rotary phones. You get some basics, but you wouldn't understand smartphones, apps, or the internet. Old books give us a window into history, and that's great. They show us how people thought and spoke in different times. But life changes, and so does language, and so do the stories we need to hear. If we only look backward, we might not understand the world happening all around us right now. Our world is rich with voices, and literature should reflect that. Reading only old books limits the kinds of conversations we can have about who we are and where we are going. Have you ever looked at a math problem and thought, when am I ever going to use this in my actual life? It's a pretty common feeling, right? We learn about variables, equations, and shapes, but sometimes the way they're shown to us makes them feel totally separate from our daily existence. It's like learning a secret code, but you don't know what it's for or why it matters. Here's the thing. Math isn't just about numbers on a page. For thousands of years, people created math because they needed to solve real-world puzzles. Ancient Egyptians used it to build massive pyramids and measure land after floods. Traders used it to count goods and money, making sure deals were fair. It was always a practical tool, helping people understand and shape the world around them. But sometimes in school, the problems we get seem designed to be only about the numbers, not about their meaning in our daily lives. Think about it like this. Imagine trying to learn how to play soccer by just memorizing the rules and drawing diagrams of the field, but never actually kicking a ball or playing a game. You might know all the rules, but you wouldn't feel the rush of scoring, or the teamwork that makes the sport exciting. You wouldn't truly see how all those rules connect to the actual fun of the game. That's how some math problems feel. They're technically correct, but they lack the connection to why they matter, why they were invented, or how they help us understand the world better. And that's why it matters. When math feels disconnected, it's easy to lose interest and just go through the motions. We miss seeing its true power and real beauty. It's not just about getting the right answer. It's about seeing how math helps us make sense of everything. From the way a ball flies through the air to how music works and even how our brains think. Maybe if we saw more of those connections, math wouldn't feel like a confusing chore, but more like a fascinating language that helps us truly understand the world. Have you ever looked at your school schedule, your homework pile, and all your tests, and just thought, when do I get to be me? It's a real question many students ask. Here's the thing. Our education system is really good at teaching us subjects like math, history, and science. And that's important. But personal growth? That's about growing as a person, not just a student. It's about figuring out who you are, what you love, what makes you curious, or even just having time to be bored and think. It's about developing hobbies, exploring new ideas just because you want to, or even just spending time with family without feeling rushed. When every minute is planned, when every class has a test coming, it's hard to make space for that. Think about it this way. For a long time, people believed that truly knowing yourself was a big part of learning. It wasn't just about memorizing facts. Old thinkers like the ancient Greeks, for example, talked about developing the whole person. Not just your brain, but your character, your creativity, and your spirit too. They understood that learning goes beyond books. Our schools today often focus so much on passing tests and getting into college that these other parts of us sometimes get left behind. Imagine a small plant. To grow strong, it needs water and sunlight, sure. But it also needs room to spread its roots and time to just sit in the sun, soaking it all in. You can't just keep pouring fertilizer on it and expect it to be healthy if it's crammed in a tiny pot with no space. That's a bit like us. We need our academic food, but we also need space and time to grow our own unique leaves and branches, to find our own light. It's like how a musician needs to practice their scales, but also needs time to just play and explore their own music. So, why does this matter? Because knowing yourself, understanding your own interests and feelings, is a huge part of living a good life. It helps you find happiness, deal with challenges, and understand the world around you in your own way. School teaches us a lot about the world, but having time for personal growth teaches us about ourselves in that world. And that's pretty powerful. Have you ever had a day at school where you just felt stuck? Like every minute was planned for you and there was no room to breathe or choose? It's not that schools are actual prisons with locks and guards, but sometimes the way things are set up can feel that way. This idea of school feeling like a prison describes a situation where students feel confined, controlled, and without much personal choice or freedom in their learning environment. Think about it. From the strict schedules to sitting in rows, raising your hand to speak, and having bells tell you exactly when to move. In the past, schools often borrowed ideas from factories or even military training. The goal was to create a very orderly system where everyone did the same thing at the same time. This was meant to make things efficient, but it also meant less individual freedom. Here's the thing. When learning feels so controlled, it can take away your own natural drive to explore. Imagine trying to build a really cool Lego castle, but someone tells you exactly which bricks to use, when to use them, and for how long. You might lose interest, right? You want to pick your own bricks and build your own way. That's a bit like how it feels when school routines are super rigid. When you don't have much say in what you learn or how you learn it, school can start to feel less like a place of exciting discovery and more like a place where you just follow rules. This matters because true learning often comes from curiosity and feeling like you have some say in your journey. School at its heart should be a place where your mind can stretch and wander, where you can ask big questions and find your own answers. It shouldn't feel like a place that traps your spirit, but one that helps it soar. When it feels like a prison, we lose out on the joy of truly engaging with knowledge. Have you ever felt like you were part of a team but your ideas weren't really heard, or you didn't quite know what was happening? That's often how some parents feel when it comes to their child's school. This feeling of being shut out means parents feel disconnected, like they're observing from a distance instead of being true, active partners in their child's learning journey. It's not that parents don't care, it's more about how difficult it can be for them to connect meaningfully and feel truly included. Here's the thing. Schools and families are supposed to work together. Think about how a big ship sails best when everyone on board, the captain, the crew, even the people in the kitchen, knows their part and communicates. Historically, schools were often deeply tied into local communities. There was a sense of shared responsibility, where learning flowed more naturally between home and school. But as schools grew bigger and life got busier for everyone, those direct, easy connections sometimes became harder to maintain. It's like a vital communication line that gets static, making it tough to hear clearly. Imagine a parent trying to understand their child's progress in a challenging subject. They might try to reach out to a teacher, but their calls or emails go unanswered. Or perhaps parent-teacher meetings are always scheduled at times when they simply can't attend due to work or other family responsibilities. They want to help, to understand what's needed, but they keep hitting walls. It's like being invited to a puzzle-solving session, but no one gives you any of the pieces or tells you where to put them. You're there, you want to help, but you can't contribute. When parents feel shut out, It's a loss that echoes through the whole education system. Kids tend to thrive more when their home life and school life feel connected, creating a strong, consistent support system. A school truly becomes stronger when it genuinely welcomes families, sees them as essential teammates, and makes sure their unique insights and voices are valued. It's a quiet but important challenge, reminding us that education is a shared path, and every step is better when everyone feels they truly belong. Have you ever felt like you have too much on your plate, like too many chores or homework assignments due at once? For some kids, school itself starts to feel that way. It's like the backpack of learning gets heavier and heavier until it just becomes too much to carry. They feel swamped, unable to keep up. Eventually, some students decide to stop going altogether. This isn't about being lazy. It's about feeling truly overwhelmed by the pressure, the amount of work, or the feeling that school just isn't working for them anymore. For a long time, people thought about education as a journey of discovery, a way to help you grow. But somewhere along the way, it started to feel more like a race or a giant test. The idea that everyone should go through the exact same system at the exact same pace can be really tough. It's a bit like saying every tree in a forest should grow to the exact same height at the exact same time. It doesn't make sense for nature, and maybe it doesn't make sense for us either. Think about trying to learn 5 new video games at the same time. You jump from one, then to another, trying to remember all the controls. You get confused, frustrated, and don't truly enjoy any of them. Your brain just can't focus deeply on all 5 at once. That's how school can feel for some students. They have so many subjects, so many rules, so many expectations, their brains get overloaded. It's not about being smart enough, it's about the system putting too much on them, turning learning into a heavy burden. So, when a student drops out, it's often not a choice made lightly. It's a sign that something in the system might be too much. It makes you wonder, what if we could make school feel less like a heavy burden and more like an exciting path? What if we truly believe that learning can happen in many different ways, not just inside classroom walls? This thought is worth holding on to. Every mind deserves a way to learn that feels like it fits, not like it crushes. Have you ever noticed how some things just seem to stay the same, even when everything else around them changes? Think about how fast the world moves now, with new technologies and new ways of thinking popping up all the time. But sometimes, our schools can feel a bit stuck in time, like they're not quite keeping up. This problem, schools not adapting to new ideas, means that the ways we teach, what we teach, and even how we use our school buildings don't always change as quickly as the rest of the world does. It means schools might hold on to older methods or subjects, even when there are better, more helpful ways to learn or new important skills to teach. Here's the thing. Many parts of our school system were first set up a long time ago, maybe even during the time of factories and industrial growth. The idea then was to teach everyone the same way, like a big, efficient machine. That made sense for that time, but the world has truly moved on. It's like trying to navigate a whole new city with a paper map from 20 years ago. It might get you somewhere, but you'll miss all the new roads, shortcuts, and cool places that popped up since then. And you definitely won't have GPS helping you. When schools don't open up to new ideas, it means students might not always learn with the best tools or in the most exciting, relevant ways for today's world. It's not about anyone being wrong. It's just about how hard it can be for big systems to change. But to truly prepare us for tomorrow, schools, like all of us, need to keep learning and growing, always curious about what new paths might lead to better understanding. Have you ever wondered why some classrooms have all the latest tech, while others seem stuck in another time? Like why one science class might have shiny new microscopes that connect to computers, but another uses older ones where it's hard to see anything? Here's the thing. Schools often struggle with not having enough money to buy new equipment. This isn't just about cool gadgets. It means things like old, slow computers that freeze, science lab tools that are broken or outdated, and even textbooks that might be years old, missing the latest information. Think about it. Hundreds of years ago, schools mainly used chalkboards and books. Learning was mostly about listening and reading. But our world changed. We invented amazing tools, from printing presses to the internet. These tools help us learn in new ways, letting us see, try, and connect with information faster. Today, a school with enough money can get smart boards, 3D printers, or up-to-date coding software. These tools don't just make learning fun. They open new ways to understand complex ideas and prepare you for future jobs. But here's the problem. When a school doesn't have enough money, it's like trying to build a really cool Lego castle, but you only have a few old, broken bricks. Or imagine trying to become a top chef, but your kitchen only has dull knives and a stove with 2 working burners. You could still try your best, but it would be much harder, right? You wouldn't be able to learn all the latest cooking techniques. It's the same in school. If you're learning about space with a dusty old telescope or coding on a computer from the 2000s, it limits what you can explore. So, when schools lack money for modern tools, it's not just about missing out on fancy stuff. It's about missing opportunities. It means some students might not get to try the same exciting experiments or learn the same cutting-edge skills as students in other places. It can feel like a missed chance for curiosity to truly bloom, holding back all the amazing things young minds could achieve if they just had the right tools. Have you ever paused to think about what makes a good teacher? Not just someone who knows a lot, but someone who really helps you learn, who makes class interesting, or who just makes you feel understood. It's easy to see how much effort teachers put in every day. But here's the thing. Even the very best teachers need help to do their amazing job. When we talk about teachers needing better support, it means giving them what they truly need to succeed. This isn't just about getting paid fairly, though that's part of it. It's about having the right tools, enough time to plan great lessons, and support when things get tough or confusing in the classroom. For a long, long time, people have understood how truly important teachers are. Think back to ancient Greece, thousands of years ago, where wise thinkers like Socrates didn't just teach facts, they guided students on how to think and question the world. Or even in quieter communities hundreds of years ago, the village teacher was always seen as a central figure, someone who held the key to learning and progress. The idea was always that teaching is a special kind of work, building minds and shaping futures. But for that work to be truly great, teachers need to feel valued, respected, and have the right tools and resources to grow. It's like tending a garden. You don't just put seeds in the ground and walk away. You water the plants, make sure they get enough sunlight, and protect them from weeds or storms so they can truly flourish. Think about a chef preparing a delicious meal. They might be incredibly talented, know all the recipes, and have a passion for cooking. But if their kitchen has broken stoves, dull knives, or they don't have fresh ingredients, it's going to be really hard for them to make that amazing food. The chef needs good tools, a clean space, and quality ingredients to do their best work. It's the same for teachers. They need updated textbooks, technology that actually works, and enough time to plan lessons that grab your attention. They also need helpful training and a strong support system. Like other experienced teachers or school leaders, they can ask for advice when challenges pop up. So, when we talk about supporting teachers, it's not just about them. It's about us too. When teachers feel supported and happy in their jobs, they can put all their energy into helping you learn and grow. It creates a better place for everyone in the classroom and beyond. It makes sense, right? To care for those who spend their days caring for our minds and our future. It's a simple idea, but it truly matters. Have you ever thought about what happens after high school? For many, the idea of applying to colleges can feel like a huge, heavy cloud hanging over everything. It's not just about picking a school. It's about a long, often confusing process that piles on a lot of pressure. Imagine juggling perfect grades, tough tests, writing essays that feel like they need to be amazing, and trying to figure out what you want to study. And then there's the big question. Will you even get in? This whole system wasn't always so intense. A long time ago, college was for fewer people. The path wasn't as busy. But then, college started being seen as the main way to get a good job and a good life. So, the pressure went way up. It can feel like your whole future depends on these few papers. Think of it like this: preparing for a major school play. You have to learn your lines perfectly, practice your movements, make sure your costume is just right, and perform flawlessly on opening night. If you mess up, it feels like the whole show could fall apart. Applying to college can feel similar, but with your future as the audience. Every essay, every test score feels like a critical line you can't miss. But here's the thing, this stress is real, but it doesn't define you. Your worth isn't measured by which college accepts you, or if you get rejected. Learning is a journey, not just one stop. There are many paths to a good life, and you can learn anywhere. The important part is to keep growing, keep exploring. Remember, one letter, good or bad, doesn't write your whole story. It's okay to feel the pressure, but don't let it dim your own light. Have you ever learned something in school and wondered, when will I actually use this? That feeling points to a real issue. Our education system often doesn't teach enough practical skills. Here's the thing. Practical skills are what you use every day. They're not just about memorizing facts. They're about doing things, like fixing something broken, managing your money, or speaking up clearly. Our schools teach us what to know, dates, science, rules, math, but sometimes they don't teach enough about how to think, how to use that knowledge, or just how to act in real life. For a long time, centuries ago, education meant learning a trade. If you wanted to be a builder, you'd work with one, learning with your hands. It was all about doing. As societies grew, schools began focusing on books and theories. This was important for expanding knowledge, but maybe we forgot a bit about the doing part. We learned theories well, but not always how to use them. Imagine learning to ride a bike just from a book. You could memorize every part, every rule, but until you get on, wobble, fall, and try again, you won't really know how to ride. Learning practical skills is just like that. It's about experience, not just reading. And this matters a lot. Life isn't like a multiple choice test. It's a mix of challenges where we need to use what we know, adapt, and solve problems. When we leave school, we should feel ready, not just with facts in our heads, but with the confidence to handle the real world. It's about being prepared to truly live, not just to pass a class. Have you ever sat in class, watching the clock tick by, feeling like every minute is dragging? It's not always that the work is too hard, but sometimes it just feels heavy. Learning can start to feel like a big task you have to do, not something you want to explore. It's like homework turns into a list of chores, similar to doing the dishes, instead of a chance to discover something truly interesting. You might just feel pressure to get it done. Here's the thing. Tiny kids are natural learners. They ask why 1,000 times a day, just trying to figure out how everything works around them. They don't need a good grade to be curious. For a very long time, thinkers in places like old Greece believed learning was a journey of finding deep wisdom, a truly joyful experience. They thought real learning came from a personal spark of curiosity, from wanting to understand the world, not from being told to memorize facts for a test. It's a lot like playing a video game you absolutely love versus being forced to play a game you really hate. When you're playing a game you enjoy, hours can simply fly by without you even noticing. You're challenged, yes, but you're also having fun. You want to beat the next level. You want to explore every secret corner. But imagine someone told you that you had to play a super boring game for hours every single day. You'd probably dread it, right? That's exactly how school can feel when it becomes just a chore. When learning turns into just checking off boxes on a list, we often miss out on the real wonder of it all. It stops being about deeply understanding new ideas and starts being only about finishing the assignment. Maybe the real goal isn't just to get through school, but to find that spark of curiosity again. To remember that learning can truly be an exciting adventure, not just a long list of things to get done. Have you ever tried to really focus on something important, like a tricky math problem or a book you're trying to understand, but everywhere around you is just too loud? Maybe the cafeteria is buzzing, or the hallway is full of talking, or even the library is crowded. Here's the thing. Finding a truly quiet space to study in schools can be a real challenge for many students. Quiet study isn't just about silence. It's about having a dedicated space where your brain can slow down, think deeply, and truly process information without a million distractions. Imagine trying to build a complex Lego castle in the middle of a noisy party. It's tough to concentrate on those tiny pieces and follow the instructions when there's so much going on around you. Your mind works in a similar way. It needs a calm environment to connect new ideas and solve problems. Throughout history, people who needed to think hard, like ancient philosophers or writers, often looked for quiet places. They knew that deep thought and creativity often bloom best when the mind isn't constantly interrupted. It's not just about doing homework, but about letting new information settle and truly become part of your understanding. Think about it like this. If you're trying to listen to a very soft whisper, you need to be in a quiet room, right? You can't hear it at a loud concert. Our brains are always trying to hear the whispers of new ideas. and that's much harder in a noisy, busy place. Without enough quiet spots, it's like we're always at that concert, trying to listen for something important but struggling to catch every word. So when schools don't have enough quiet corners, private rooms, or even just peaceful nooks, it can make it harder for students to do their best thinking. It's not just about getting good grades. It's about giving our minds the respect and space they need to really grow, to make sense of the world, and to truly learn. Have you ever found yourself in class, staring at the clock, just waiting for the bell to ring? Your mind might wander, maybe you start doodling, or even just daydream. It's a common feeling, and it's not just about not caring. Here's the thing. Boredom is actually a pretty interesting signal. It tells us that our brains aren't quite connecting with what's happening. Think about it like this. Your brain is a very active place. It likes to learn and be challenged in new ways. So when the information coming in isn't exciting, or it's too easy, or maybe it's just presented in a way that doesn't click with how you learn, your brain kind of checks out. It's not trying to be rude. It's just looking for something more engaging to do. Even really old thinkers, like philosophers from ancient Greece, talked about how people get bored when their minds aren't given meaningful work. It's a very human experience. Imagine trying to build something cool with Lego bricks, but the instructions are super complicated and dry, or the pieces are all wrong for what you want to make. You'd probably get frustrated and stop, right? Or think of a video game that's either way too easy or way too hard. You lose interest fast. Our brains work a bit like that. They need the right level of challenge and a way to connect with the material. So when boredom hits in class, it's not just a sign that you're not paying attention. It might also be a quiet message that the way we learn or the way subjects are taught could be different. Maybe it's a sign that our natural curiosity is looking for a path it can follow, a path that feels more alive and relevant to us. Teachers who seem burnt out. Have you ever noticed a teacher who just seems less bright than usual? Maybe they're quiet, or they don't have the same energy they used to. Here's the thing, sometimes even the most passionate teachers can feel what's called burnout. So what does that really mean? It's more than just being tired. Think of it like this. Your phone battery gets low and you charge it. But if you never really give it a full charge and you keep using it for too many apps all the time, that battery starts to wear down. It takes longer to charge and it drains faster. For teachers, it's their energy and enthusiasm that can run low. Life is like that lake. It keeps changing. The real purpose of education isn't just to fill your head with answers, but to help you learn, how to ask questions, and how to find your way even when things are new. It's about building a foundation so you can keep growing, keep exploring, and keep learning long after the school bell rings for the last time.